Good evening, gents. Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome back to this week's GKP Thursday Night Live. How are you doing, fellas?
Perfect.
I seen you in the background then, Rick having a quick neck of his beer, Matt getting the backstage jitters.
Got to get a quick beer, ain't you?
Oh, damn right, mate. 100%. Damn right. Good week so far?
Busy.
Yeah, I know that one, mate. It's been mad, but good fun. It's good fun being a cow farmer, isn't it? It's cool. I've enjoyed it. It's been educational. It's been manic at times, packing boxes and shifting them around and getting everything up and ready. Lots of fish is coming in and lots of fish going out. So cool. I enjoyed it. It's been good. Looking forward to tomorrow, and then it's a weekend. This week's absolutely flown by. My God, though, in it warm in the polytunnel. I mean, it's not even warm yet, but it will it were red hot. I were down to a t-shirt already today, thinking, God damn, it's hot in here. I get sweat on my forehead a lot. I haven't even got nowhere near summer yet, so I think I'm gonna have to get some. I don't know.
Special stuff.
Something to keep me cool. That is for sure. It certainly worked. Jumper, t-shirt. I mean, I got there in the morning with hoodie on, t-shirt, and a little body warmer and a body warmer came off after about half hour, and jumper came off after about an hour, and then I went down to the t-shirt thinking, God, it's warm in here. And we've only just begun, but the good weather is on its way. Temperatures are warming up, and we're pushing double figures, 17 degrees today. That's pretty damn good, isn't it, for beginning of March? That's nice to see the sun out again.
We didn't get nowhere near 17 at Debbie.
Did you not?
Not outside. Inside's about 35, but outside, yeah, maybe 12 degrees.
As if, man, it was lovely here. Well, no, technically there, but it's been nice here. I literally, as soon as I pulled up and parked car up outside the house, it started raining. My son's just been out there for 4.5 hours cleaning his Mini, getting it all sparkly inside and out, and then it's lashed it down. It's good to do.
Yeah. So, been playing with power all day. One side was off all day. A planned one that no one had told me about. And then so I had to get all the generators and stuff rigged up and get that lot running. Packed them up at 4 o'clock. The power had all come back on. Went across the other side, and it was all tripped out. And my air source heat pump on one of the units has fried a load more electric.
Oh no!
Never known. We got 3 of them running, and it's one of them is just fries
every
stuff.
time.
Yeah, all the time.
That's uncanny, really, with my conversation I had with you today. Then,
yeah, you got a power cut this week, didn't you, or something?
yeah, next week, next Thursday, planned outage. Going to turn off in the morning, and it will be back on sometime within the next 24 hours. Which led on to loads of questions because I went to get a generator sorted, and you can't put a generator on there because a normal generator has surges. So when it recognises it needs power, it will fire up to full max. And of course, if that's more power than what you need, it's going to fry all your electronics. So the only stuff
end up causing more damage with every power surge that it does.
So all your variable pumps, all the controllers have been knackered. My drum, I'm not sure about the drum, whether that will cope with it.
You're not having much luck with power situations, drums and Veriflows and all that lot down your way, are you? Right.
I live out in the middle of the sticks.
Go back to basics, Matt. Back to basics. Look at Rick, it works. It does what it needs to do. It involves a little more work, obviously, on your behalf, but this time next year, you'll be telling everybody to get back to basics.
You walk around the farms in Japan, you think, if we did that, we'd have killed all of our fish every single year without fail.
Some of it. Did you see some of the wiring?
Yeah, there was one.
Wiring is shocking, but yeah, we have probably 20 power cuts a year. Yeah,
did you by any chance go to a small little koi house, and in the far corner was a little sink where wires were coming down from some kind of a loom that were up in the top left corner, and it went down and a copper wire were wrapped around a pipe that was underneath the water?
No, not that I know.
I saw that one. I thought, what the hell, man? That looks dodgy as shit.
Earthing someone out.
Where was it?
It must have been. That must have been what it would do. It must have been earthing out, but it weren't in no earth sleeve. It was just twin and earth with cable ripped out of it, and it was wrapped around something. But it was earthing.
One of the farms we were at, Rick, wasn't it? They had a whole wooden board with all the fuses with just some cables tucked into it, but it was all open. You could have.
That was Takazumi. Was the electric seemed worse than us, but you think in the mountains, the amount of like avalanches, snow movement, temperatures that they'd have. The only I saw a few backup generators, but not that many.
No.
And they look like backup generators that you'd kick in yourself, not automated ones. Obviously, we used to have an automated one, but which is fine. A lot of money, and it saved a lot of fish till the day it doesn't work, and then you're screwed again, aren't you? So there isn't.
When you're keeping that amount of livestock, that's life dependent upon air supplies, pumps, circulations, and all the rest of it. It is a worrying thing, isn't it? Really, I mean, I don't know exactly. I've yet to have a word with Ryan and see what the process is down there, or whether or not, I don't know if they have anything like that as a backup system or what have you. But I suppose if shit hits the fan, it hits the fan big time and quick, and especially if you're in polytunnels, That's you're
you imagine the middle of the summer.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that exact same thing. Yeah.
To be fair, when I spoke to the electricity board, I said, "Well, what are you going to do? Because I've got all these fish here, blah blah blah." And they basically come back and said, "Well, as a business, you should be prepared for this anyway." Which they did have. They did have their point, but it was just, yeah. But how many of you out there are actually thinking that that's okay if we have a power out in the middle of the summer, I go and hire a generator? Well, you need to have a think about what equipment you've got, because if you have got, say, an EA variable pump, you can't use a generator to do it.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of it. We get away with firing up generators and just put in the air lines. So we're the power that comes to the shop, we've got a separate power source from one of the houses that feeds all the air. So we've got a separate air system. Alarms that notify all staff if the power goes out. But that comes to your phones. So in the middle of the night, quite often gets missed. Alarms in the house that obviously can't get missed as long as someone's in the house. It's pretty horrendous, the noise. But we still have problems where it might trip out in a separate part of the farm, and it won't set the alarms off because it's only a separate part, not the main feed or whatever. Today was on a separate site. It's just, yeah. So we've got backup. A lot of the air pumps we use now have got backup batteries, so you get a bit of 12 hours leeway with them. So if the power goes, the air pumps keep running. Yeah, we've used all sorts over the years. None of them are foolproof. You think you're as foolproof as you are, and then someone else kicks you.
That kind of thing's only well and good, Rick. If, let's say, for example, if it's a power outage from damaged cable in middle of road somewhere, and it takes them, a couple of 48 hours to get it back up and running, kind of thing, you've only got a 24-hour cover. A 12-hour window with your backup systems, like little battery systems on your air pumps and what have you. It can be.
Yeah, we've got generators. So it just takes one person to fire them up and just move a few bits around to carry on running the whole place. But you're always reliant on that side of it. And sod's law, the one day someone's not there, we've lost fish. Once I was away at Glastonbury, we lost some fish. It's just when you think something can't go wrong because you've got it all covered.
That's when it does, and it shows you.
we'll save fish. The more stuff you've got, the more times you save the fish.
Yeah.
But the warmer you run stuff, the higher the stock density, the higher the food, the more chance of something going wrong. Yeah, it's livestock, isn't it?
I tell you what surprised me, Rick, and this is just one of the more simplest things. It's the amount of food that you go through. I mean, you must be like on another level to what's down there, but I've seen that food barrel look relatively full at the beginning of the week, and 2 or 3 days, and it's damn near gone. And now there's nowhere near as many ponds as what you'd probably be feeding down there. Matt, you probably less so, probably maybe similar, maybe a little bit less than Ryan, but that surprised me just how much they will eat, and especially when they're on heat, or in heated tanks, they will wolf down it and they won't stop, do they? They just keep going. They just constantly keep. Every time you walk past, they're at surface looking for food from you every time. That's been a bit of an eye opener. Especially when I walk past mine and they just go, it's not even warm enough yet, mate.
When you think there's 10,000 fish or whatever that all want 5 grams of food or whatever a day, suddenly it multiplies up really quick.
What do you reckon you go through then? I'm not talking how much price wise, Rick, but how many's on a pallet? If you were to buy, let's say, for example, if you were using just 6 mil pellet, how many pallets of that do you go through a month?
Well, we normally use about 10 ton across a year.
10 ton?
10 ton comes in. So, but some of it's difficult on different years. We didn't use as much this year as we normally do, but that's some of the mud ponds The mud ponds go through a lot of food. So yeah, it is a lot of food, and that's the difference between buying a commercial diet that's, I don't know, £3 a kilo as opposed to a top diet that's £15 a kilo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I
What
think
do you reckon you get through a year, Matt? Have you any idea, roughly?
Oh, not a year, no. In the summer, it's probably...
When I met you in the summer.
That's off putting you serenading me, guys.
I'm not going to tell them about the message you sent me overnight.
Go on, tell them. They like that one. Not that
I sent him 2 messages, and I realised I'd sent the wrong message, so I deleted him. And he sends me a message back saying, "Was that you about to tell me your undenying love for me?" So I sent 2 more messages and deleted them right again quick. And I said, "Oh, go on, sod it. I love you." And he said, his first message back was, "It's not going to work, Gaz. Too much of a distance." So I put in, "Gutted." "Oh, go on then, we'll give it a try." I sat there giggling to myself thinking, "You're wrong in head, you. You're just as daft as me." It was funny.
Food-wise, I guess it all depends what I'm doing, what I got here at the time. But in the summer, probably only a bag, a sack a week, something like that.
Yeah. So you're probably going through. Well, maybe I would have said they're probably going through twice that now. I mean, easily. That's
the difference is in the summer there, it's the same. You can't, the temperature when you're heated is the same, isn't it? So they'll be using the same regardless or whatever. So
I was going to say, now I've got the polytunnel and they're all feeding like nuts in there or wanting to. You know, that's just going to go up dramatically now.
Have you had any? I mean, obviously, you're going to have to do it anyway. So you're going to. I hope you don't mind me saying. Sleeping cows, have you had any of them show up, any of that yet, or have you introduced it to make sure that they do?
I've got 1 tank of the youngsters or the smaller ones. They've got it definitely, or it seems like the signs of it. It's not across all of them. It's 5 or 6 of the fish doing the usual upright, floating around
a little bit. Just seem to be acting. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's surprisingly fast as well. I hope Ryan doesn't mind me saying, but I was surprised, because obviously you want to make sure that they've all been exposed to it, because you don't want those fish then going out to your clients and then it happening there, because obviously they might not have the capabilities of doing it. So I'm guessing it's a thing where you do it and you bring it on, you cure it, and then obviously you process through the fish so that they've all got it and they're not going to get it when they get to your clients. But I was really surprised how quickly you can put something in to trigger it to see how fast it happened. And it's within hours. They start showing
you get a reaction pretty damn quick.
Yeah, you do. And that blew me away, did that?
Yeah. It's scary stuff as well when you see it.
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't look happy real quick, and you think, God damn. But then it seems to turn around relatively quick as well.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with Gary about certain farms, and obviously some of the fish have already been through it. So you can have batches of fish. Some have issues, some don't. But he was saying about some farms that the way you put them through it will, like how far you let them go into the disease before you bring them back.
Before you start bringing them out of it,
they get a stronger immune response and they're better for it. But obviously, as long as you don't go too far and take losses or whatever. So, but obviously, with different varieties, we don't see it with any variety except for Gosanki. You could chuck a 2-year-old in with a load of our Crashigo and whatever, and they don't give a shit.
Yeah,
they don't. There is just basically no response. But you do that with a Ponda, Kahaka, or Sankey, and yeah, it's if you didn't know what was going on, you'd be absolutely shitting yourself when 500 fish just all go horrible. But that's
it's quite shocking to see, isn't it? You think when you've seen them for 2 or 3 days settling in, you think, yeah, Unkadora, they're all looking well, they're all looking good, and then bang, you think, shit, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Some varieties don't seem to suffer. Different farms do stuff differently. So yeah, if it's like Ryan's business, it's something that he's so used to dealing with and doing. It's just normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've not got mine settled enough to even think about doing that yet. Yeah.
It's been really, really interesting. That's the bit I like about it. It's been pretty cool learning and seeing the stuff like that. I've even got my own tanks to take care of and look after now. I've got my own koi shed. The new koi shed it belongs to, well, it doesn't belong to me, but I am responsible for it. Yes. Feed them, get them big, grow them.
But that's the difference. Obviously, 20 years ago, people didn't buy Tozo because they weren't strong. It just wasn't a done thing. Everything was Nisai, Sanzai, whatever. And the bigger and older the fish are, the less grief you have. You know, you bring in Sanzai, you just don't have an issue. But it's the Tozo that are the troublesome ones. But obviously, you get a lot more of them in a box, so the freight's a lot cheaper. There's reasons for it, but yeah, they are a bit of a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
They keep you up at night, definitely.
Well, I'm far away. I can't hear him anymore. There's a lot of miles between me and them.
Not his problem, is it? He's there for the day, and he's gone.
No, honestly, I would be, because for me to get there bang on for 8:30 or whatever time, 8 o'clock at 8:30, I have to make sure I set off. I'm setting off so that I don't hit the traffic, just in case I do hit traffic, that I can still get there in time. Which most mornings means I get there pretty much early doors before everybody else. So I get to go around and open everything up. And that's the bit that, you open up and uncovering everything, having a look at them and checking through and everything. So I haven't seen anything that's been an issue at all. But I suppose, yeah, one day might do, or what, I don't know. But it's
the silence. That's my greatest fear whenever I go in anywhere. You get so used to the noise when you go in there and there's silence, you like, yeah. Immediately, yeah.
Touch wood, that's not happened yet. Yeah, but
who's that?
It's been. I'll just quickly touch base with a couple of these comments. Rob's put in there: generated electric, be it solar or generator, is dirty electric, which is not full cycle sync wave, not pure AC. Long term destroys a lot of foxes. Thank you very much, Vicky. If anybody has any questions that they would like to, there we go. They've just literally done it as I said it. Bang them in capital letters, or put the word question in capital letters so it stands out, and we can have a natter and a chat about them, and hopefully find you the answers you might be looking for. For most modest ponds, I have a smart battery which will switch on if power goes out. Should give me 5 to 6 hours, I'm guessing, but not connected to heater. It's better than nothing, mate, isn't it? And all you can do is give it a little bit of something, if you can do something.
Well, at least it gives him the option. At least it gives him the option to sort something out long term.
Long term,
if it was a power cable down or something, it was going to be a 48-hour fix. At least that gives you 5-6 hours to get out there and get it sorted.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a good idea if you can do it. Mark says, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Mark, and all those other people that joined us that I flashed up earlier on. Thanks for joining us, guys. Gwen says, hi, Vicky. Hope you're well. Kaizuko Koi, which is our Marcus, says, I was getting through 20 kg a week last year. Will be more this year. Yeah, it will be. It will be a lot more. Be firing them in and growing them on nice. Matt, where's the nice shirt tonight?
Don't know.
I thought for a second you'd frozen that again on us. There we go. Carlos says, how do people? Hope all is well. Likewise, mate. Hope you're good. We've got a quick question then from Teresa, which I will touch on. Hi, guys. Where's Sleeping Daz lately? Unfortunately, he's decided to leave the YouTube scene. Obviously, with his family losses and the processing of it all, and basically all we can do is wish him all the very best. I hope, fingers crossed, he's still watching, I hope he is. If he's not, then I hope he's getting better and he's dealing with it and processing through it as he needs to do. And hopefully he's. We're all behind him. We all back him. Hopefully he's back in the near future. And if not, well, then we wish him all the very best and all the very best of support from him and his family.
Did you see that?
Sorry, go on. We'll go back
Did you see the picture I sent of the electrics?
Oh, is that what you? Was that ping from yourself? Oh shit! I'll bring this up and show you, and then we'll come back to that one, Dave. Oh my god, that's what I mean. I saw some, but that's pretty scary, that mate. You won't get away with that with UK eggs, would you? We're
stood alongside it, and you quite easily fall, touch it, or whatever.
That's the wiring board.
It's nuts. Yeah. I can't remember what farm it was.
Safety first. Oh, I don't here. Put that down. I've made on me everything else tiny. But yeah, that's a little bit on the worrying side when you see something like that, isn't it? Yeah, right, where were we? If you use salt when you purchase a koi to ease stress, should show that be salted with the stress the koi are going through at shows? I do believe they are, mate. I do believe that they do add a bit of salt in to ease with the stress for all the fish while they are at the shows, mate. I mean, if anybody's on that could tell me anything different, is anybody from the BKKS, but I'm pretty sure that all those kind of precautions are taken and it is added to the show vats. So if Mr. Tate comes on, we'll ask him. I'm pretty sure they do.
Right, you might know the answer to that one. Do they put salt in the show vats?
I think so.
Do they not?
Well, I think at the national, that's what, probably a sack per vat plus the water changing. So you got 100 sacks of salt.
That's all. I was saying that would be a hell of a lot of.
The dealers generally do, but the show, you shouldn't need to if your fish prepared. Shouldn't be an issue in a show vat. You've only got half a dozen fish or whatever.
But it's a trickle in, trickle out, isn't it? So if there was salt added, it'd always be running out anyway, wouldn't it? Be flushed straight in
forever. Yeah, no, it's not something. The salt's more. It's talked about a lot in more commercial senses. So dealers, wholesalers, people that are dealing with a lot of fish use it a lot. The farms use it a lot, but generally for hobbyists, you shouldn't really be needing it because you're buying a few fish that are already quarantined and settled and putting them in an environment where they shouldn't be that stressed because conditions should be good. So, yeah, it's one of those. If you're buying a few fish, then you've got 5,000 gallon pot.
I could understand when you say that kind of thing, and when you put it into realistic terms, 100 vats and 100 bags, and that's a be a hell of a lot of an expense, wouldn't it? But that's why.
To be fair, I mean, they couldn't imagine at the national if all those ponds were properly salted the whole time. When they dumped the water, they'd kill all the grass. I don't think the showground would be very happy either. But yeah, at the end of that, I don't know. But normally the dealer would when they've got 100 fish in a vat and they're a lot more. But for you putting your own fish into, you're not mixing any fish at a show. They're your fish coming out of your pond that should be very settled with each other. It's not such a problem. Shouldn't be necessary.
But most of them do have larger vats, don't they, which contain all the water that the show used for that day with a secondary vat for the next day that they use to run from, don't they? It's not like straight up to mains, is it? They all have storage.
That's tankered in, yeah. So at the national, have to tanker in the water because the water on site's not good enough.
Yeah,
it's the upshot. So they tanker it in and then use. But yeah, you wouldn't be adding full salt. At the end of the day, that every vat is your own fish coming from your own pond that have been there for many months together. There shouldn't be an issue.
No.
It's not the same.
Because each individual vat's separate. They're not linked to nothing. It's not like it goes from one vat to next to next to next to next. So otherwise, that'd be a heap load of shit real quick, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, you've seen yourself if you introduce a new, and we see it more when I'm moving the Jap stuff about than ours, perhaps so much. We do see it with ours. You've got ponds of fish that are happy as Larry, no bother, and you think, well, I'm going to put those broodstock with those broodstock, and they're all 2, 3, 4-year-old fish or whatever. 24 hours later, it's like you've dropped something nasty in there. The reaction's really quick. One batch or other, just pick up new things, whatever. They have a period of looking a bit mucusy, or they blush up and go a bit sulky. A couple of days later, they're right as rain again. It's just moving. Every time you move existing stock that have never seen each other, the chance of that happening is always there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more things that affect koi than the few nasty stuff that you always hear about. There's a lot more viral and bacterial things that aren't really an issue, but they'll have an effect when you move fish about. But in a good environment, within a few days, they just deal with it. It's not a problem. It's just, it's not like people always talk about the same few things with fish. When humans get 200 types of colds, that's just one cold virus. There's 200 variants of that or whatever, and how many types of COVID or flu or
there's always different variations.
Most of them make you feel shit for a few days, and that's about it. It's only when it starts causing mortalities that it's a disease that's notifiable, as in SVC, KHV, and whatever. But that's all you ever hear about. But there's whole
You can see a fish if it's introduced into a new pond and then it thinks, has a couple of days where it's a bit sulky and it's not itself and then perks back up again. It's probably just been exposed to something it's not used to before in the past.
Yeah, it's just been exposed to whatever, be it a strain of bacteria. It's not a problem. A strain of viral, for strain, whatever that hasn't got an immunity to, but it's not life threatening. It's not a problem. It's just something that's going to make it.
It's just like you say, just like us when we catch a common cold or a common bit of flu, you feel crap for a couple of days and then everything starts to perk back up again.
Yeah,
some people.
Even cart pox. There's so many types of the herpes virus that causes cart pox. It's not just one cart pox virus. There's different strains of it. So some are a lot more aggressive. Some are different temperatures. Some cause more problems than others. So cart pox is cart pox, but it's not just one strain of virus that causes it. There's a multitude of slight variants on that strain.
Oh, somebody just answered a question within the questions. Oh, dear me. Right, well, we will touch on it anyway, Dave. I'll go to Dave's first and then we'll come back on it. Could you guys explain the difference between Sankey and a Go Sankey, which is one that Dave actually posted in the Facebook group, which I was going to bring up, mate, 100% because I've seen it. And as you've been told there, Sankey is a part of the Go Sankey, and the Go Sankey are three varieties of koi, which are classed as Go Sankey, which is your Kahaku, your Sankey, and your Showa. Your Showa being a black fish with a red and white pattern, your Sankey being a white fish with a red and black pattern, and your Kahaku, which is an orange fish with a white pattern. I think I'm right saying that, Anna?
Either or, to be honest.
Either or, yeah.
Basically, just an umbrella term for those varieties, but it could be quite confusing being Sankey in the title, but you got the same thing as about Utsuris. You've got different Utsuris, and you got your Shiro, your Ki, your Hiatsuri. It's like an umbrella. Kuromo covering lots of those, Budagoromo, Algoromo, whatever. It's all it's just putting things into blocks, and Go Sank is probably the biggest term because they're the 3 varieties that generally will only ever win at top levels at shows.
And then all those categories all have subcategories, which should be your Ginrins and all the rest of it. But there's the most the most confusing one for me is why is a metallic Kahaku called a Sakuri Ogon?
Why is the Deutsch version called a Kikusui?
Yeah, well, all right.
Why is the Shisui called a Shisui and an Asagi called an Asagi?
That's probably one of the most peculiar ones. Well, I mean, I think that takes me forever to. Or you could make a little bit of comedy out of it, Dave, and say, right, a Sankey is an everyday Sankey, which is a white fish with a red and black base pattern, and a Go Sankey is a fast one, one that's wanted to go places. Your Ferrari version of your Sankey. It'll give you something to remember it by, mate. So the Go Sankeys. Now there's Kawari monos as well, and all sorts of categories, isn't there? You'll see them all if you ever go to a show, Dave. You'll see all the categories of all the different fish. When all the fish have the little introduction of what that fish is, who the owner is. Sometimes it's got the owner's name with them as well. But they'll show all the different types of category that goes into. For example, you've got, like I said there, your Kawari mono, but you also get a different one for a Ginrin shower to what you do a normal shower without the Gin. And I can't remember what that is. It's got a different name to it, but all of them, if you find it really interesting, if you go around and have a look at them all, you'll see all the different types of varieties and categories that they get put into at the shows. But yeah, it's like the Pericina and Platinum Ogon, both the same fish. Just different names.
It's got a whole new step confused in the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever, with farms naming varieties with a new name as for marketing purposes, basically. In it. So Dainichi, Black Zeus, Black Diamond, Yellow Monkey, they're just their version of a type of koi. And it becomes, we get people phoning us up now for, have you got any Black Zeus? No, we've got Ginrin. we've got Ginrin Komomryu. They're produced here by us. We can't call them Black Zeus because that's a Dainichi term for their line of that variety.
Of that particular one. Yeah.
So it's, it does get a bit bonkers.
But that's same as anything, isn't it? But all forms of anything that's sold gets revamped, doesn't it, and gets re-brought around, and things get rebranded and new names put to them. It's nothing no different within this industry as to any other industry, is it?
Possibly. I think people get confused.
I mean, they used to call bell-bottom jeans, but now when we were a kid, they came out and they were called flared jeans, weren't they?
Yes.
So the same thing, weren't they? Bell-bottoms, same as what they had in 60s, 70s.
But yeah, it's just, it is one of those, isn't it? It will never stop, will it? It's marketing, and people will pay. If Marahiro sells some Ginrin Krashigoi and they're £100 a fish at a year old, at 12 inches, whatever, Dainichi sells his Yellow Monkey and they're twice the price. Yeah, it's that branding, the Dainichi name, regardless if Dainichi bought his parents from Marahiro. It's the same genetic pool, but you've got that extra branding, and the Dainichi might say, well, we breathe more and cull harder, or we use a bigger parent, or our Gin's better than theirs. Who knows? The chances are you put two together, no one would tell the difference. And if you grew them out, they grow to the same size and with the same bone structure and body. You're just paying for marketing. But that works, doesn't it? You buy a Ferrari and you need a new wing mirror for your Ferrari, and you have to, you get it from Ferrari, or you get it from Ford that supply Ferrari with a wing mirror. Just take the sticker off. There's
lots of stuff like that. Lots of different vehicles have got different parts. I think one of the parts on a Ferrari front wing indicators off a Ford Focus.
There you go. If you bought that from Ferrari,
the Lotus dashboard in the Lotus Elite has the center console dials from a Fiat Uno.
Well, even with our stuff, isn't it? Our pumps, you get Uazi that are upgrading their pump. They sell the model on, and somebody just rebrands it and puts their name on it.
Yeah, a rebrand. Claude did ask a question just before we went into the ones of the categories of fish and stuff. If power is off, is it worth spraying the hose pipe, smashing the surface for aeration?
If they're dying because they're lacking, but that would suggest you're there during the day when there's a problem, and most of the time there's never be a problem in the day with oxygen. It's much more likely to happen at night when
you took up in
bed
bed
a lot lower. So, but yeah, you're much better off. A fish will die from lack of oxygen a lot faster than it might die from having a bit too much tap water. So
yeah,
if in doubt,
splash it out.
Spray it or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the turning over of water or splashing, crashing water. That's why when you see like big carp fishing lakes in the summer months, when they get their algae blooms and all the rest of it, you'll see that there'll be fish that are struggling a little bit, and they'll go out and hire a great big pump of some sort so that they can fire water up in air and it crashes down on surface to try oxygenate the water and to bring it back, rather than using, like air stones as we do, because on that scale it's damn near impossible to get enough air into a pond of that size. So they do it by water movement rather than aeration.
Yeah, it's just exposing more of the water to the air. So on our lake in the summer, they're basically floating boxes with a boat impeller that sits under the water, and obviously when it switches on, it fires the water up through the box like a giant mushroom.
Yeah,
and it moves, I don't know, 50 meters cubed of water a minute or something ridiculous. It's like, but obviously that water then it just exposes all the water to the air, so it drags it from deeper down and fires it up. It does make a massive difference through the night. So they're on time clock, so they'll come on, when it gets dark through till dawn, and the difference in water quality is massive.
And so just so that,
does it make any difference to the fishing, do you reckon?
Yeah,
because
if it can breathe,
diurnal rhythms when. Yeah, not to us when we're there. I think we scare them away. But yes, if you've got natural rhythms of oxygen going low, then obviously nothing's going to feed.
Yeah, they just knock off.
They just will not feed. So obviously by doing that, you get a better feeding response. So the fish will generally just be happier, feed heavier. Yeah, it's just one of those. We don't lose fish, but the fish are definitely, the water and the fish are happier since we've been using them. Certainly the back end of the summer makes a big difference.
The reasons when you started, I'm just trying to figure back to something you said within that. Do you see Graham out of work in there, Matt? We're going, wasn't it? You were saying there that obviously it's more primarily on an evening and a night. Do you want to explain? I know you have in the past before, but obviously you'll be able to put it down as to the reasons why and behind that, Matt. Rick, why it's more. Oh, we could get Matt to do it. The reasons why it becomes more of a problem on an evening as opposed to during the day when everybody would think it would be the case, because that's when the sun's at its highest, the water's warmest, blah, 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 blah. But it isn't, is it? The main.
No, every natural body of water will have what's called like a diurnal rhythm. So direct sunlight basically feeds any plant life in that body of water. Photosynthesizes, it produces pure oxygen. So most bodies of water during the day will be what's called supersaturated with oxygen. The oxygen level will be above 100% for what it should be at that temperature, because you've got pure oxygen being released by every single celled algae, blanketweed plant, whatever's in there is producing oxygen. So during the day, you should generally fine, but obviously at night, that all goes into reverse. So your oxygen levels, all the plants now are taking oxygen back out of the system. Every fish and bacteria that's in there is using oxygen. So you get this massive dip through the night. So the more you can agitate the water, expose the water to natural air, degas the water, whatever, the better. And it will work. So the water starts at dawn at a better place, then it's good through the day. So you just end up with the whole the whole ecosystem being a better place right the way through. And obviously the back end of the summer is when things are at the worst in terms of the amount of food going into ponds, the amount of oxygen demand on ponds, the higher temperatures, which obviously the warmer water is, the less oxygen it can physically hold.
Yeah.
And the more everything that's in it needs. So you get at this critical point where in our country, September, October, whatever, when your oxygen demand at its highest, oxygen availability is at its lowest, and then you have a couple of bad nights where you have low pressure and whatever, and it just creates this
the perfect
storm. Literally, yeah. So being aware of that, like real high-end commercial farms will have oxygen probes in all the ponds that will be digitally reading, and if it drops below a certain point, it will kick in aerators across the boards, and to make sure you don't drop below a certain point. So obviously the water's always got enough oxygen in. And yeah, if you go into salmon farm, you go through the whole spectrum of different fish farming, there's different points. Carp are super strong. It's not generally a problem. But you start farming trout and salmon and whatever, yeah, it's critical. So we're all right.
Matt was looking really serious throughout that, like he had something he would like to add to it.
I wasn't. I was listening, and I was going to give it 10 out of 10 for a perfectly answered question. And
so what you're going to do is you're just going to point up and go, what he said. Yeah.
I can't elaborate on that anymore. But
no, but I do genuinely think that the reasons why and behind it, as you just touched on it, but I know you've gone for, that's why I said on the bit there, the perfect storm, because I found that bit really interesting, especially as to why. And I thought it'd be a good idea to get you to cover it as to why again. But that's the main bad one, isn't it? When it all hits at once at that certain times of year, or low pressure and everything else, when the shit can really hit the fan. And if everybody knows and look as an idea as to why, it gives you a little bit more for being able to prevent it.
It's just being aware of it. And it shouldn't, in a normal garden pond where you're running pumps and whatever, it shouldn't really be an issue, because you're continually adjusting the water in your favour, aren't you, by circulating it and by aerating it. It's not a natural body of water anymore. You're doing all these things. But the day the power goes out at the end of September, when you've been feeding really heavy on a really hot day and had a family barbecue and they've had 10 times more food than normal, and that night when the power goes out, that's when you get that phone call the next day from someone saying, all my fish are dead. What's happened? You know, and it's because all of those things culminate into a bad sort of place. Yeah, but it's not just oxygen now. The pH will fluctuate, especially in more natural ponds like ours. On a hot summer's day, when the algae's booming, the pH will go super high, and then that'll drop. You get these rhythms of oxygen, pH.
How much do you reckon? How much? Because that obviously, like as you were saying there, that obviously affects the pH in a pond. What would you say? Let's say, for example, if your pond's average is 7.5. What do you reckon the pH might drop to by a percentage through a night? Could we get a drop in a pH from 7.5 to 7.4, 7.3, 7.2, or is it just point odd? Or is
in a normal pond where you're running UVs, it's clear water. There's very little. It's not an issue, because you haven't got the amount of algae to cause a problem to change things. But when you're running like we're running extensive ponds that we're encouraging algal blooms, so you've got masses of algae, it's a completely different scenario. So it's not so much it'll go below if you've got enough available calcium. It's never going to go below a certain point, but what it would do is it will go high. We can get our ponds, they'll often hit high at summer over 12 in the growing ponds, and the fish are absolutely fine with that. But if you take the fish out and put them into clear water, into a shock, the pH shock will absolutely screw them. So you're taking them out of what should be toxic water, technically by book, and putting them into what should be good water. But it's the shock.
And that being such a big, because excuse me. I was having this conversation with somebody about pH swings on Facebook, and it were, you know, there is an element of a pH swing throughout. If anybody that's got the digital thermometers, recorders that tell you all your pH, KH, GH, and all the rest of it, you can get all these different devices that do it. And they showed, somebody sent me a chart of it, and it quite clearly showed the peaks and troughs throughout the night as it rose. But I couldn't remember how much it'd gone up by or how much it dropped off, rose or fall by. So we're talking.
It's very small in a normal pond when you've got clear water. It's very small amounts. It's the amount of free hydrogen atoms. So when they're doing, goes into, we need Sid Mitchell to start talking about free hydrogen. Yeah. It gets pretty mental. Cool. But yeah, the reality is that in a normal environment, it's not really a filtered environment. It's not a problem. But when you start having extensive ponds, if you've got a fry grow on or something you're doing where you're letting it go super green to encourage the live food, and you're running a pond that's in a more natural state, that's when you can get these big changes. And it can be, they'll tolerate a lot of things, but they don't like, we can't harvest a pond in the height of summer when it's super green and move them into fresh, clear water. Just boom, it's too much. So we have to flush ponds, drop the pH, balance.
Just give them a balance. Try to bring them to a medium level of exchange from what they were to what they're going to be going into. Slowly introduce it, kind of thing. I suppose, in a sense, it's acclimation from what they're at down to what you're going to be putting them into.
It's 100%, and it's the same as you might find you'll be working, and Brian will say, I'll move those fish, and the difference is you might be moving fish from high salinity into a pond with no salt, and that's going to piss them off as much as anything else, because they're going from 0.6% solution, and if you're not aware of that it's in there, and that tank, take them out of the photograph, and I'll put them in this clear water, you give them a massive osmotic shock into there, and then a half an hour ago, I'll finish that, I'm going to chuck them back in their tank.
Back in again, yeah.
And you might not think, well, it's clear water in both, the same temperature, but actually you've just given them a monster shock that might upset them. So unless you're aware.
Upset them and make them do that funny head.
Well, yeah, they'll hate it.
Shake their heads, don't they, a bit if it shocks them a bit too much.
But yeah,
I might definitely add something to add this time, because I could see it.
There was that bloody long ago, guys. I've forgotten now.
I knew that was coming. I knew it.
No,
thank you, Gary. It was you.
The carp fishing lakes have it a lot, don't they? Where you see the carp die-offs, which are algae blooms, etc.
Yeah,
but
you get
that can also be blue-green algae, and that strips oxygen real rapid out of a big lake like that. And it normally tends to be something where it's gone like toxic soup in it before, and then that's it. Boom.
Yeah, you get toxic forms of algae that will go through, and blue-green algae is the one that's talked about. But you get a brown algae, and you get it in some of the salmon farms. You get a bloom, and it will wash through the cages, and it will just kill everything. Literally, just wipe everything out. Every living organism in that comes in path of that kills it. It's some real crazy stuff. But yeah, algae's, again, there's thousands, if not millions, of types of single-celled algae that all have different. People talk about color enhancers. We feed the two main color enhancers you feed in koi food are different types of algae. That's where it comes from. It's just dried algae put back in the food for them. Give them posh names, made to sound amazing. My food's got, this and that in it, but you're feeding them algae.
Yeah. What we naturally like to graze upon.
Yeah. Some of it's a superfood, some of it's a toxin in it.
Yeah.
And then you get the cyanobacteria, you get something else as well, the bacteria ones as well, which are in the water column, which can be toxic. But again.
Quick, simple one to this. I'm guessing he's at work, because he was when I spoke with him, and I said I'd send him links. So I would imagine either at work or travelling home. So hopefully he'll be joining us or on with us at some point. So he has got the link. Grumpy Koi did put this in, but he changed it. And I knew what you meant, mate, because you stuck it underneath. Rick, at what size / age do fry become Tosai. I think that's autocorrect, which said
toxic.
So, what age what size stroke age do fry become Tosai?
Depends who you asked, doesn't it? For me, the minute we do a spawning, those fish are Tosai. Obviously, they're fry, but they're under a year old. My understanding of the terminology is if it's a year or less, it's a Tosai. But with the way fish sales are, and you're buying fish that are just under a year, by the time you quarantine them, selling them, you're still classing them as Tosai, which I get because they've not had their second summer growing. But sometimes you'll find that in August, September, October, people are still selling Tosai that are actually now 14, 15 months old or whatever. So that's the sort of grey area. For us, each year class is a year class. We start spawning in April. Everything, once it's a year old, becomes Nisai.
It's like the Tosai now is almost a way of saying it's last year's spawning. So
yeah, it's fish that left. The reality is, if it's, I think where it gets really mixed up is if a fish hasn't had its second year growing, which most of the Tosai you buy in this country from a shop in the summer haven't, because they've been brought as fish that are coming up to a year old, been through quarantine, and then they're sat in a dealer's establishment. That's when normally those fish would be in Japan being grown for their second summer. So those fish, by the time you get them back to your pond, as Tosai in September at 20 centimeters, are exactly the same fish that the dealers will be going out to buy in the autumn at 45, 50 centimeter Nisai. But they've had their second growing season, whereas the ones you're buying technically haven't had their second growing season, unless you're buying from a dealer that's growing them or whatever. But that's where you get this weird sort of crossover of age. In my mind, the way it's global, why would you just not put on these fish were spawned in 2022? They're now 14 months old. It's not jumbo Tosai. A lot of people are selling jumbo Tosai late in the season, which are actually technically now chibi Nisai.
Yeah.
But if you're buying a product that's expensive because it's a big fish for its age,
the difference between a chibi Nisai and a jumbo Tosai is a jumbo Tosai has had that growth pushed in heat, and a chibi Nisai is a fish that's not being kept in heat and kept cool, which is
no, it could be just it hasn't grown.
It's not.
But but you've got crossovers of that, and to be fair, that's and if this is why I think transparency is key. If you turn around and said that this fish was born in June 2022 and is being kept in this particular way, you'd know if it's a good size or not for what it should be. You know, we've purchased Tosai on the farm that are clearly, when they arrive, are not, and there's mature fish, milky males and whatever amongst the batch. You know, well, they're just fish that have been held back for a year. They're a year older than they're being sold as, but we're not talking about high-end fish. We're just talking about batches of fish. So, and we have fish on the farm ourselves. We'll hold fish back if we've got a lot of asagi like we've got this year. I'll keep some where I'll grow quite slowly, and some will grow a lot faster. So by the time that this autumn comes along, I'll have cheap little ones or more expensive bigger ones. Same age fish, given the right, if you pick the fish with the right bone structure and whatever, they'll probably grow to basically the same size long term. But yeah, there's a lot of, and I get it. If you're a dealer paying for a premium product, but actually by the time you're selling it, it's gone through that 6-month growing window when it should be a lot bigger. You're not going to turn around and say, oh, it's actually now a chibi Nisai, because by the time it's quarantined and I've had it in my tanks for 8 weeks, it's missed its entire second growing season. That's just what happens, isn't it? I don't know.
Right, Pam just come in and said Ricky's doing a lot of talking tonight.
I know, Pam. So not drunk enough yet.
Pam, I have given him his chance, and all he answered with what he said. So let's quickly touch on this one. And Jay, don't think I'm just using it as an example, mate. I'm not saying you're doing anything that you shouldn't be doing. He's put evening all, just been out and fed the fish. They're smashing it down their throats due to the warm weather this week. Caution, not for you, Jay. I'm not saying you're doing anything, but for all those that are thinking, oh, the fish are up there now and they're feeding and they're smashing food and they're taking everything I keep giving them. Remember, if you're not heated, that your filter system is slowly coming back to work. It's not going to be capable of handling everything that you're going to be throwing through it if you're banging too much food too soon, too quick. Slowly build up the food for your fish. Slowly allow your filter systems to become re-established and allow the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria, to be duplicated. Well, no, it's, what's the word? Multiplying and multiplying and multiplying and multiplying, so that your filter system is capable of dealing with the amount of food that you're wanging in. Just because they'll eat it, if you're in unheated ponds, doesn't necessarily mean that you should be wanging it in too fast. Slowly build it up.
Yeah, there's a whole topic that just pops in my head out of nowhere about something that's never even mentioned. You imagine you've got a pond of young females this time of year, and you're going to feed them. They will be feeding harder now, trying to spring coming, day length's increasing. They need to get their eggs ready, so they're going to eat like you wouldn't believe, but their food conversion rate will be really good. So the amount of waste they're going to produce will be a lot less for the food they eat, because they're converting it into eggs. They're putting it en masse. Whereas you've got other fish, older males that aren't actually growing, that will trough and trough and trough the food and then just excrete it all, because they're not actually doing anything with it. They're not gaining much body mass. They're not gaining much muscle. They're just literally eating
literal into reproduction
straight back out. Yeah. So you could have two ponds that are fed the same amount and have completely different amounts of excretion from the fish. Just been out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all relevant, Rick, isn't it? But I mean, do we know whether or not do most people know what they've got in the ponds?
It's just one of those, isn't it? Food conversion rates and stuff. You hear a lot of food companies go, "Oh yeah, the FCR on this food at this temperature is this," but again, that completely depends on the age of the fish, what the fish are doing with that food, as to whether they're actually converted into body mass or not. You know, you can have towside that are literally converting 90% of what they eat into physical. For every kilogram they're eating, they'll actually grow beyond a kilogram. They'll do more than 1-to-1. But if you feed a 15-year-old chagoy that's not growing anymore, just eats everything in sight, and then passes all that back out as complete waste, you get different amounts of waste, even from the same foods from different fish. That's something that's not even probably considered or thought about.
That's probably why my sturgeon do so well then, because they're swimming around the bottom eating all the male's shite.
But you will, if you've got fish that are just eating, and they will, if you've ever carp fishing, I've been to lakes where they will eat, and they will start crapping literally just food back out, be it pellet, boily, particle, that they've not really digested. They're just eating so much, and they haven't got a proper stomach. They'll just eat and it passes through them. So the other fish are actually eating their waste and getting more benefit from it than they are.
This is why it goes on to the question or response of little and often rather than bulk feed.
100%, yeah, little and often. If you could, and again, this is where people feed their fish 3 times a day, but if you fed 3 times but over the 24-hour periods, or 24 times every hour over 24 hours, you've got a much more consistent food intake and waste output than feed just during the day and not at night or whatever. Because most carp will actually prefer to eat when it's dark. They feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, another whole kind of work.
That's when you get your runs, when you're in your tent fast asleep and you think, bastard, swum towards banking, and I didn't even hear my bite alarm go off.
I didn't even notice. There were too many Bacardi breezes.
That might have had something to do with it, to be fair, as well. Slept straight through it. Gone. David Cook's put in there, how's Daz doing? Not seen him for a while. Honestly, mate, I don't know. We haven't spoken several months. I hope he's doing well. And And it's not that we haven't reached out. We have had a little bit of a chat. He asked and said that he needed some time. So you've got to do what people ask for. And he needed to process through what he needed to process through. So I'm giving him exactly what he asked for, mate. Time to reflect and get through what he's going through. You know, everybody's affected by things in a different way. And it's not really my business for me to be talking about. So I appreciate you asking, because obviously it was a big part of this. It's always been a big part of it. He just felt like he needed to take a step back to get through what he's going through with the loss in his family, mate. So that's how it is.
I got to do something to Paul Warren. I see his funny comment about me looking like Clint Eastwood tonight.
I'm just going to bring... hell you will, kid.
Is that better? I said before I came on, I got to go. Go on.
Have you got an horse you can sit on and spit out some tobacco? Ding! Ding! Somebody asked there, which air source heat pump do you recommend for a 2.5 gallon pond? Josh Jones. It's not something I know about because my pockets aren't deep enough to be able to afford one of those in the first place, never mind the running cost of it when everyone's going to say it.
Let Matt answer that one.
Matt, there you go, Matt. This one's for you. Fire away.
So, air source heat pump converts the heat from the air into the pond. The higher the wattage or ampage kilowatts of the air source heat pump will heat up the water and turn it off the quickest. So it's not what size I need, it's what size can I afford, because if you can afford it, get the biggest and best one on the market, because it will do your pond a lot more justice than a cheaper one that's running 24 hours a day. But on that size, you would be able to get away with 1 kilowatt one that's converting to about 6 kilowatts going into the pond. And what you should be finding, if your pond is covered well enough, as mine is down there now, they're coming on in the morning and then switching off probably about an hour after daybreak, because you've lost the heat over the night, it's heating up, but then you're generating enough heat from the sun to keep it up to temperature. And another tip for the air source heat pump people, try to get your pond to the maximum temperature as it gets dark, because then the heat source pump will be off during the night, because basically there's no heat in the air, so you're converting less. Does that make sense, Rick, what I just said?
The lesser, the hotter the air temperature you put them through and the more efficient they are.
Exactly.
You can get different inverter types and different gases, but the reality is if you buy an oversized one, you'll use less power running it because it will heat it up quicker, better, and like Matt said, if you can run them when the air's at a higher temperature, they're much more efficient. So rather than running it during the night when it's -4 and it's just doing 1 to 1, if you run it during the day when the sun's out, it'll be doing 6 to 1 or vice versa or whatever. So there is we like Matt's got, like we've got, we run them. So today ours we switch them on physically in the day when the air temperature in the tunnel is much hotter. They're running super efficient. I think they brought my Munga tunnel up, the one in there that fried the plug, in the 6 hours it was on, brought it up 7 degrees. So I'm not saying that's what you should be doing, but that's for cost effectiveness. We can run them for a third of the day and get all of our temperature in that window, and then not have them on when they're less effective, but you're always still paying the same kilowatt power. So, but the bigger the unit, you can afford, generally the better.
What they said. Oh, bollocks. Yeah, them, the other two. I don't know about those things. Ryan's Koi Pond has asked, after advice, would anyone recommend using salt with the current temperatures at the moment to tackle high ammonia?
I wouldn't be using salt to tackle high ammonia.
No.
What would you use, Rick, instead?
Zeolite.
Zeolite.
Why have you got high ammonia? If you've got high ammonia, you need either mature media, live bacterial products, or zeolite to get the ammonia, or water changing to get that sorted. The only problem is zeolite and salt aren't great friends.
No, they're not, are they? Yeah, you can't. Yeah, zeolite can be recharged once it's, what's the right word? Spent, so to speak. Once it's done its job, it can only absorb so much ammonia to a point where it's
Saturated.
Saturated. That's the one. Hey, come on, you're getting good here, man. So, to the point where it's saturated, and then once it's done with, you take it out, you put it into a bowl of water with a high concentration level of salt, and then it can be reused again.
It does an ion exchange, so it kicks out the ammonia and takes on the salt, and then you can then crush it and put it back in, so you can keep taking it. It takes roughly 4 grams of ammonia out per kilogram of zeolite over about 48 hours if you've got it in the right place. So you can work out, or so you can do a test on your pond, and if you've got 4,000 litres of water and you've got 1 milligram per litre of ammonia, you can work out that you've got 4 grams of ammonia in that system. You need 1 kilo or 2 kilos of whatever of zeolite to remove it. But if that's being produced every day, then obviously your zeolite's being saturated.
Yeah, it's saturated daily, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it's not quite as simple as that, but yeah, you can. But the problem is, most people, if you've got an issue with water quality where you've got high ammonia and high nitrite, salt is used to make the effects of nitrite less toxic. But if you start adding salt to your system and you're trying to take ammonia out and you've got zeolite in there, you're basically not helping the situation. So mature media is a much better option. Working out why you've got high ammonia and stopping that in the first place would be.
Yeah, you're just saying there. Well, by currently salted 2 weeks ago, used 6 kg. Currently, pond is a bit frothy at just under 8 degrees. Are you feeding? Because normally frothy pond water would be an indication of high levels of protein. Are you feeding your fish? If you're feeding your fish, hold off of the food, man.
If it's under 8 degrees, they're probably not.
Hold off anyway.
Yeah, but it's difficult. Obviously, when you get, sometimes we can all say, oh, you shouldn't be in that scenario, but sometimes you'll move fish around. You have to, you take some fish from someone else's pond, or you get in a situation where you've got to deal with water quality problems. If you haven't got a decent water source to water change, Matt's lucky he can just use his lovely bore water and water change.
I was going to say my situation at the moment. So I had zeolite in the ponds. The ammonia was 0. My nitrite has started to creep up. Plus, on top of that, I got sleepy disease. I think, on a few of the fish. So I've raised the temperature up, you've raised the salt level up, which means then you've got to take zeolite out of the pond, which then will mean that your ammonia and your nitrite is going to go up. So, yeah, it's a pig. That's a juice I need to rich. It just feels like all I'm doing at the moment is emptying, filling, emptying, filling, emptying, filling. Luckily, the heaters are coping with the temperature, which I was going to say just a minute ago. So on a 10,000 litre pond, I'm dumping 20% of the water, putting it in as putting the water back in off the tap, which is from a borehole, so there's no chlorine. And I'm maintaining the heat with the air source heat pumps, keeping it up to temperature.
Be you and your borehole. I'm going to drill one in my garden.
To be honest, I'm so glad I got it, because I think if I didn't have it, I'd be in a load of trouble at the moment.
It's always the same scenario when if you're importing toza and you want to keep them sterile, you want to make sure if it's a problem, you've not put anything in there. But the best thing you can do is obviously have mature filters. So at what point are your mature filters potentially going to carry a problem to your new stock of fish you're putting in there? This is the issue in it. So that's why you can run into problems like Matt's got, where he's tried to make sure that everything is as sterile as possible. So when the new fish go in, if there's any issue, you know that it's the new fish, not something that's been passed on from the old fish. It's the same boat we're in or whatever. So, yeah.
Minimum 3 kilowatt heater you will need to ensure that they can withstand cold temperatures, because there are a lot of air source heat pumps that can't go below 4 degrees, can they? Or don't work, or don't trip in, or don't kick in below 4 degrees.
Where the gas is coming, they got different, so they work by compressing. It's like your fridge, but the opposite way around. So the different types of gas they use in the compressor will work at different temperatures. So you can have one that's works really well at 10 to 15 degrees, but not higher or not lower going in. You can, so that's where the research comes in as to getting the right unit for the pond of what you're trying to achieve. If you've got a pond that you want to run at 28 degrees through the summer, but you're not going to use it in the winter, then you want one that's going to work at that higher end sort of spectrum. If you've got one that you want to run in the winter where it's going to keep your pond warmer, then you've got to use one that's working at a lower end sort of spectrum. And this is where research should be done. And the inverter types I don't quite get, but they're much more efficient. You can get some that run at 1 to 15. They're a lot more expensive to buy, but for at the right temperature zone, for every kilowatt you put in, you can potentially get 15 kilowatts of power back out. But they're a lot more expensive and probably have a much narrower window of narrow temperature zone.
Sorry, I was just reading a comment. That's what will happen. No, not you. Right, we're going back a few because people are just putting comments in, and I'm trying to catch back up again. Ryan's Coipon said, I was told it helps against nitrate exposure at a rate of 6 kg per 1,000 litres.
It does. You were talking about ammonia, so we're in different. So this is the problem. So basically, he's been told that salt will stop nitrite being toxic, which is correct. But if you've got high ammonia,
it's not being converted into nitrate.
Yeah, so there's a misunderstanding somewhere. So the ammonia issue, ammonia is much more deadly than nitrite. Ammonia needs to be dealt with ASAP. And if that means having no salt and using Z-Lite because it's the quickest emergency way of getting the ammonia down, then that's the route you've got to go down. I don't speak to someone, phone me, phone Matt, phone Craft, whoever.
Yeah.
If you're unsure, email, phone someone to get exactly what's going on, why you've got high ammonia at that temperature. Because you shouldn't, if you've got 8 degrees, you shouldn't be having problems with ammonia unless you put a lot of fish in.
Unless you're feeding and the fish are,
it's
pick up the phone, mate. Pick up the phone, give either Rick, Matt, or Crafty a ring, or any your local dealer if you've got somebody else who is a preferred choice. I'm not going to sit here, guys, and always say the gentlemen that are here, because we're here to assist and help wherever we can. But obviously, if you've got somebody more local to you, mate, you want to get a little bit more information, and they're a good, reputable company, give them a call, mate, and have a chat with them. Speak through what you've got going on.
If you've got a nitrite problem, salt is super beneficial. But if you've got an ammonia problem, you're slightly barking up the wrong tree a bit early.
Yeah.
That needs
you want your ammonia to convert over before so that you can reduce it for the other one. Oh, Mr. Tate, I see you have just literally joined in there. Could you answer a quick question that we got asked earlier on this evening? Do the koi shows add any salt to the vats prior to the shows or anything? And I'm not saying they do. I'm just asking, is it something that they do or do they condition the water in any way, shape or form prior to it going into the vats for everybody's fish that are held? Just a simple yes or no will suffice. To make a long
bloody idiot.
If you live in I've just brought that one up already. Right, let's see where we are. Crafty's just shared with us that he's just using the bathroom. Cheers for sharing, mate.
He's probably getting ready for his Mackie D delivery.
Probably getting rid of the last lot of Mackie D's. What would you recommend for mature bacteria? well, stuff like your PSBs or the, what's that blue one called? I forgot what the blue one's called. The blue liquid gel. What's the blue liquid gel stuff called, Crafty?
Come on, Crafty, where you been? We need some
mate,
answers.
hang on, fucking let me sort me buttons out, son.
Okay, I got time for that. I'm supposed to have sorted your buttons before you come on. Straight into the quick fire round. No passes. If you have to pass, that's it. You're out. What do they call the blue gel?
That's the EA one.
What,
EA
methylene
one,
blue?
yeah.
Or
No. The
bacteria
beneficial bacteria
pure
stuff.
gel.
Pure gel, all your stuff
Pure
like
gel,
Pure
PSB, Bacto Plus.
Yeah.
They do a filter start gel. There's loads of them out there, man.
But if you can have Michelle media from another system, it's even better.
Pond bomb. Drop a pond bomb in. Rob says, am I right in saying if you have high nitrate, best thing you can do is add as much oxygen into the pond as possible. Converts into less harmful nitrate, NO3.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite that simple.
Well, yeah, because we don't add oxygen anyway, do we? We add air, which
you can gas off a certain amount. But
Did you say that, Gaz, or Crafty?
What?
Crafty's always the one about the oxygen in the air. Only Crafty.
He can't hear you. He's muted.
You muted? Oh, he is, yeah. He's muted. Alan Tate, salt. We just got a salt.
No. Told you. He didn't call you a fucking idiot either.
He didn't put it.
There you go.
He just put salt. So that you do add salt to the vats prior to the shellfish being added?
No, I don't.
No salt.
No salt on the show vats at all.
No shot. What about in the water prior to it going to the show vats to condition it or anything? Is it anything? No. I don't mean salt. Do they add anything else to it? Keep him muted, he says. Alan says keep him muted. Did it? Because I know a lot of them have these big water vessels, don't they? Would they condition?
Yeah, no, nothing, mate. They've got a dedicated water team that goes round, keeping very extensive records of every single show vat. Salt is not allowed unless in extreme circumstances. Let's just say that. All right, but it's because you've got to remember that salt isn't always in people's ponds and it's other people's stock. They don't put it in. Yeah. They don't. So one thing that they often use or can use is an ammonia binder, but then even that, just from experience, can give negative or different readings depending on test kits that are being used, etc. So it's a lot more in depth. The water management team are actually quite shit hot, but yeah, they that's why they've got a trickle in and out system now. Everything that goes through. I'm not sure if they've got it anymore, but at the national. I'm not sure last year, but the year before, every single vat had its own carbonated pre-filter.
Something in it, didn't they? They did, yeah.
But yeah, they do pre-filter all of the source water, but they don't add salt or anything else generally.
That catches us up. I think that catches us up. Ricardo says, "Hi Rick, let me know if you've got anyone passing this way for a bag of media." Ricardo Rao.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll get something sorted out with the old Vince on the way past at some point.
There we go, mate. Sweet.
I have to say a big thank you to Dan, who dropped some show vats in the other day out of the blue. Goes, do you want some show vats? And he goes, I've got a Hoover as well. Do you want it?
I like this.
So
always worth having, mate. Isn't it? Temporary areas to put fish in, or when you're having a little event again, you've got somewhere to store a couple more match mute.
Yeah, it's just handy, mate. They're probably they're good. He uses them for pond cleaning or something, but he's given up. So
it's got to be better than your paddling pool, Rick.
Nah, mate, I'll still use paddling balls.
They work, mate, don't they? And they're a cheap alternative. So why not?
The thing that cracks me up, the proper show bats are exactly the same as the paddling balls.
Yeah, it's made it the same bloody material.
Exactly the same. It's just rather than a nice sort of blue and white pattern on the bottom, it's just
you got that checkered thing going on.
Yeah. I like the one with
I thought you always had a Pokemon on it.
Will do if Bez gets his way.
Oh, well, I will touch on this because we've got DT Koi that's put in, and I will push it out for you as well, Dave. He's put in good evening all. He has announced on his channel that he's given up all video and etc. and everything towards YouTube side of things, but he's quite partial now to the old TikTok. But yeah, he's moving away from YouTube, and he thanks everybody for their support and for following him. I don't believe he's shutting the channel down. He's just not going to be putting anything more on. Maybe it might be something he comes back to in a future thing. Hopefully, fingers crossed it does. But at present, it's something he's no longer doing or partaking in for now.
Talking of YouTube, I've read a post by Evo yesterday or whatever about shorts, and he's not doing shorts anymore because the algorithm of YouTube screws up. Right. Apparently, I don't, mate. Honestly,
it'd be really beneficial for you to understand the process of it, right? If you put out a lot of shorts and only one video a month, but you post a short every day, YouTube will recommend your channels to the short feed. Yeah, because primarily that's what you put out there. So your long-term videos will not get the exposure. If you put out loads of long-term videos, i.e., 15, 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes long, then and only do one or two shorts every now and again, you will only get your algorithms will be pushed more towards your long-term views. Now, if you do a combination of all three, then it'll find the most popular and eventually push the algorithm towards most of them. Now, it keeps telling me, because I do longs, lives, and shorts, it keeps telling me that mine is on an even part. I need to up my shorts a little bit more, but the amount of views that you need to get for a short to actually make any revenue from, they're pretty pointless. And most people that watch your shorts want to see something that's 30 seconds long to a minute long. Now they can be up to 3 minutes long, but most people are interested in doing that quick look and think, right, and move on, and next one and move on. They're not interested in sitting there and watching a 45 minutes. So they're never going to go to experience any more of your other content. So pick your format, stick with it, run with it. Stick with one, or try to do a blend of all three, but be consistently putting out content. If you stop one or the other, you fall out of the algorithm, which is then very difficult to get yourself back in again until such time as YouTube works out which one it puts for you again. It's all relevant.
I think that's kind of his point. He's also done more shorts and realised it's not helping.
Yeah, shorts are never going to do what. Well, they are doing what they're supposed to do. It's short form. Most people might sit on a lunchtime and flick through 50, 60, 70, 80, 200 shorts and have a quick flick through and see some, have a bit of a giggle.
How was your lunchtime, mate? I'm having a word with Ryan about this.
15 seconds out there, you don't have to, but that's the thing. If it's not something that fancies you, you'll get lots of things recommended to you. If it's not something that takes your fancy, you'll flick through it and you'll flick through it. So that's the same with your video, which is like a click-through rate. If your video is not what they're wanting to see and you put chapters in, people will just go to the section that they want, take out that what they've got from it and move on. So the shorter your click-through rate, in other words, if people watch your video and just go click, 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 click all the way through it, then that knackers up your algorithm and they won't bother recommending your channel as much because your click-through rate's crap. If you get people that will sit there and watch and process through it all, then you get a higher click-through rate because people haven't been fast-forwarding through your video quicker. So the more they watch, the better. The more they skip through, the worse. The worse your channel shares and all the rest of it go. It's real confusing, but there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it on YouTube that says do this, do that, do the other, and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day,
is that the same on TikTok?
Yeah, what? Oh, sorry.
Not really. No, TikTok's literally all about short format. That's what they're based on, which is why YouTube brought out shorts as to be in competition with another company that's come along and start doing the same thing.
But I wonder whether it works the same way. If you put a video on TikTok that is 40 seconds long, you're going to get people watch 20 seconds of it and then flick on to the next one. So if
you've got to captivate your audience, haven't you? If you don't hit them or catch them in the first few minutes of whatever it is that you're doing, I mean, we're niche, aren't we? This what we're doing is a small niche, right? In the grand scheme of things, no matter how big they are, you're an amoeba in the ocean of YouTube. Everybody in the koi industry is. It's what we get to compared to the big, YouTubers that are out there that get billions of views. Everybody in the koi industry is insignificant in the scale of it.
But we're using YouTube rather than, it's not a money thing, is it? We're using it to get content to people.
Yeah, exactly. You're using it as a form of advertisement to push to your client.
Well, it's a platform, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a platform. Yeah, and you're putting it out there, and you're putting it out there for exposure to show what you've got, stock, what you're doing, blah blah blah. You're using it as a form of basically free advertisement, mate, and that's exactly what it is. And in the process of it, when you get monetized, you'll bring in a little bit from it. You're not going to be talking mega amounts or stupid amounts, but most people that are doing YouTube really aren't.
There we go. I'm sure I learned something in that, but I forgot most of it.
There's loads to it. There's loads to it. It's
yeah.
And no, oh, sorry. And Dave says, and no, he's doing the Yorkshire Cayman. How you doing? I have a little bit of a giggle at him. Good on you though, Dave. It's nice to see you with a smile on. Not meaning you're not always, but it's nice to see you happy, mate, and nice to see you enjoying yourself again, bud, and feeling better in yourself. That's what it's all about. Talking at Carl Dev's Koi Pond says, talking of subscribing and liking, can people please do this for Gaz? Thanks. Thank you very much, mate. And likewise, if somebody could do me a huge favor, if one of the admin would do as a huge favor and just drop in his channel as well, because it's nice to give a little bit back. Gaz exposing. What? Alan Tate? What are you on about now?
He's on the wine again, isn't he?
Gaz is giving out his secrets. Gaz has given out his secret. Anybody that wants to learn as much as what I know, which is not a great deal, but anybody that wants to learn it, right. Let me explain what YouTube is. YouTube is the biggest library in the goddamn world, alongside Google, which is probably the very biggest library in the world. It's anything you want to know, how to do this, how to do that, how to do the other. I can guarantee you, it's out there on YouTube. If you want to learn how to change a light bulb behind the back of a Ford Caprice dashboard, there'll be a video out there telling you how to do it. If you want to learn how to flush out your radiator systems without taking your radiators off and making sure that you can get everything from that one rad all out your system, it's there. It's there for everything you can think of. We just stick to the stuff that we want to look at, we want to watch. If you can think of anything that you want to watch, it's there on YouTube. So, for example, if you want to learn how to create a YouTube channel, search it, man. It's there. All the information and everything that I've just told you is all there. That's exactly what I've done. It's just research. Everybody says do your research about your pond. You want to learn how to do a YouTube channel, do your research. Or if you want to learn a little bit something, ask somebody that's already doing it. I'm not saying I'm doing it and doing it well. I'm ticking along nicely and I'm growing. I'm enjoying the fun and the process that I'm having from it.
Do you know what I look at on the analytics?
Nothing.
Absolutely fuck all.
But that's the difference, you see. Just imagine how well you were doing if you did.
Not bothered.
You might go in there and go, wow, look at that. I got all these. I find all that quite interesting. But
no, I do. But I don't change. Obviously, they send you your analytics every month, don't they?
Yeah.
Have a flick through and go, oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite cool. Oh, yeah. Well, people are watching that video a lot. Okay.
Yeah, that's the bit I like about it. It's interesting, isn't it? It's nice to know about shorts, but you can go real deep into it as well, Crafty, and all. There's a lot of it flags on my head.
You know, but there's a lot of conflicted info. It's like what's true, what's not, and that. But the shorts for me, I'll put a few shorts out, mate, and it actually works really well.
It defined really well.
He comes back and says, well, he says, how many people have watched your shorts, right? How many people have then visited your channel off your shorts? And then how many subscribers you've picked up? You know, I'm not looking anything for money. I do it because I enjoy.
Exactly. That's the difference, mate, isn't it? That is the difference. We do it because we're enjoying it and we're having fun doing it. But if you was to look at it statistically and you were to say, right, we talked about this the other week, didn't we? About like you can put out a video on YouTube, a short, and you can put the same one out on TikTok. And that view on TikTok can have 16,000, 17,000 views. And you can stick it on YouTube and you might get 450. It's just identical thing.
There's no consistency. Yeah.
There isn't. That's what makes it so confusing and so difficult.
That's why I don't chase it, mate. It's like.
But there are some people that know just how to predict the algorithm of it and have got it down to a. But even when you try to listen to those videos, they just like your head so much.
You're not gonna make a fortune on YouTube in the coin area at all. You know, people think there's a lot of money in YouTube. There is, but if you want to know how to do it, right, you have to have a look at what topics are trending and then make a video about a trending subject.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah, you got to pick what is trending
and have a fit bird on it, mate. You've got to have a fit bird.
With half a knock hanging out, mate. You know, all that sort of malarkey.
I fall for that one every time.
Yeah, me too, mate. It's great. But yeah, it's like if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel for koi, don't, because you won't. Simple as that.
The main thing is, if you're wanting to start a YouTube channel, first thing you've got to do is find out what you want to do it about. And once you've got that down and you know what you want to make it about, you want to find out what people are interested in and whether or not they're interested in what you're wanting to do a video about or videos about or a channel about. And if that ain't relevant to you, then you've got to do the processes to have fun with it. And if you want to have fun with it, then it doesn't really matter if you get growth. If you get a little bit of growth and it's consistent, well, that's growth, isn't it? So you go with it and do what you're doing. If you want to be big on YouTube, you're too late, man. You should have started 25, 30 years ago.
When I drop a video, I will generally get between 30 and 60 quid off a video. But I don't drop them very often. You know, I just ain't got time.
If you did one about rendering your pond, mate, you'll get loads of people watching.
Mate, I'll get loads of people watching. That's a sure fact.
I cannot believe how he's gone.
Sorry, I was trying to click on Dave, but he's gone. He was there, and he left. The second I clicked on him, I clicked you off instead because he's gone.
But I think you should, yeah. I can't believe when people ain't volunteering to do a bit. Everyone should do one section and put their name in it.
I think we should get some of the audience in personally.
That's what I'm saying. Get the audience round one bit at a time.
Oh,
here he is. He's in.
Here he is. The circle of doom. There we go.
It's because I was having technical problems.
He disappeared, and then I ended up kicking Crafty off because it moved my case straight over to him.
It's because I had technical problems. What?
Air it now, then. Go. Dave, 2.0.
2.0. There ain't no 2.0. Just,
Well, there's not 1.0
I'm
anymore,
not-
are you?
No.
That one's gone, so
No,
now it's got to be oh. 2.0.
Just had a lot of issues going on.
No, I
with
don't mean
female
that side of things,
you know.
mate.
Well,
I
what other side?
didn't mean that. I mean, life's life, Dave, innit? It happens. Shit happens. We do it. We deal with it. We move on. We get through it.
Yeah, I could poke you like this now because I live near you.
The bit that why you decided not, you keep it channel open, aren't you? You're just not. Present.
I'm not going down that road again.
No, it's too much to lose, mate. You'd have been way higher than what you were if you'd have done it and stuff.
Yeah. I've heard this story multiple times. You know, it's one of them. I've just got a lot going on, and just I haven't done one for a while, and I just thought it would just something to put out. Not like people didn't know I hadn't done a video in like 3 months, but I just thought time is more right to just put something out there, and you know, just at the minute, videos won't be continuing on my channel. Whether they come back again, maybe at some point in the future, but I don't know, and that's why I'm not shutting the channel down at all.
Keep your options
that
open.
That road is never closing. Like you said, it might come back, it might not. But thanks, you just tell everybody my TikTok. That's fine, guys. You know, it's not even correlated. It's my personal account. Thanks.
Mate,
I don't even think crafting you is exactly what it was.
You're on there for a reason, aren't you? You're putting yourself on
you've got a TikTok
in the
account
public eye again, so therefore people want to be there. If you want to see Yorkshire Coy Day,
it's a good job it's a private account then, isn't it?
Well, I found it. I found you just flicking through and I thought,
no, I found it as well.
Yeah. That's because I went live. That's why I had to make it unprivate so it reaches here, there, and everywhere. You know how it works. You know all the algorithms and all that malarkey. You just happen to scroll on the TikTok at the wrong time, I suppose.
But it's good to see you. It's good to see you feeling better, Dave. That's the main thing, mate. That's what it's about.
Well, yeah, so I've still got hair if that counts. Yeah. Just about. And then you're having your new job. I bet that's going down well for you, isn't it?
It's mint. Loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Do you want to swap roles by any chance? Job going if you want one.
No, you're good. You're good, man. I'm done with my days within the construction or anything to do with that, mate, are done. Well, I'm saying that unless Ryan kicks me out in a couple of weeks when he's had enough of it, I might be going back, but for now, that's me finished with it, mate. I don't want to get back in construction ever again. I've done my fair share in that. I've walked that road, and now we're treading down a new one.
Yeah, well, it's about time for you, isn't it? It were coming at some point. For someone like you, it was coming at some point. Whether it was with Ryan or whether you had to travel to Crafty, it was happening at some point for you, Sam, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't ever expect to be doing this, doing YouTube, and it lead to where I am. But now I'm there, mate. I've got everybody that's followed me and you know, been here, done this, done the rest of it, to thank for it. Because I mean, that's the bit I was saying about, you know, if you're going to do a YouTube channel and you go into it to do it, you've got to do it to have fun. You've got to do it to enjoy it. You've got to do it. And I spoke with Shirley today at work, and I explained behind the reason behind it. I started YouTube to do what I'm doing, but there's more than one reason for doing what I'm doing. There's always something there that I can look back on. I can always go through any one of my videos, watch them and think, that were a good day, that were a belting weekend. That were brilliant for that. We really enjoyed ourselves doing that. All of us getting together and being at that place, or all of us doing that project. I always got that to fall back on. And
well, that's the point,
my family has too. You know, let's say, you know, shit happens, doesn't it, sometimes? But my family's always got that to look back at too. It's always going to be there in some form of a record. And that's me having fun, enjoying myself, and happy. So that now leading to where I've got with it on top of it, it's just a massive Brucey bonus. 100%.
Like I've said to you many times with the YouTube side of it, when you do it for yourself, you might do it for family as well. But then if you can help that one person by doing what you're doing, and then they reach out to you at some point saying, but X, Y, and Z video actually helped me with what I had with my pond, then it just gives you that extra little bit of bonus knowing that's what you've achieved, even though you didn't expect to achieve that.
This is what I do it for, Dave. That's what I do it for. It's a good way of keeping track of all my freebies. And I can always have a memory of them and a log. Thanks, Susan. That's what I do it for. This kind of thing. Forget the fact of that little bit. But
The freebies.
It's the what's the word? The banter,
it's the French.
the jokes, the communicating with people that I probably would have never ever met, and the fact that I can sit there and have a laugh and a joke with people overseas, and the fact that people can come to a show and have a natter and a chat with us, that's the reason behind it all. It's good. It's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the side of filming. I enjoy the side of being there, and enjoy the side of being, around other people that come over to have a laugh and a natter and a chat with you and say, I really enjoyed this, or that's the one, camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
What you've done, Gaz, is you're following a dream that started as a little hobby and it's grown as your dream, isn't it?
Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. And honestly, I am waking up every morning before my alarm clock thinking, brilliant, I'm going to work. Going there, and I'm traveling there, I'm traveling back, and I don't feel like I'm traveling to work and to back. It doesn't feel like it's work. It just feels like that's what I've always wanted to do it, and now I'm actually doing it. I was stuck in traffic today for an hour. We got an early dart. So we'll be in earlier tomorrow morning. Sweet, happy days. Right, I'll lock up. I'll sort everything out. You get yourself off, mate. I'll see you in the morning. So that's me. I'm staying there, lock back up, get everything shut down, and thinking, right, early darts, happy days. A1, straight onto A1, traffic, instant. Thought, shit, that's a lot of traffic. And when I got there at the end of it, I saw 2 horse boxes broke down where they'd had to take the horses out of one box and put them into another one. And do you know what, mate? Go back 4, 5, 6 months ago, I'd have been spitting feathers. I'd have been pissed, so fucking fuming. And I sat there, I couldn't give a shit. I weren't bothered at all. I weren't bothered that I was sat in traffic because I'd had a mint day and I've enjoyed doing what I was doing, and I weren't stressed and I weren't peed off. So as long as that keeps being like that, mate, I'm happy. And I'll do it till Ryan kicks me out because I'm too old to work there.
I very much doubt he's going to kick you out, but it's one of them, innit? You all start with your channel for somewhere, and when it leads to somewhere that you don't know where it's going, but it's a happy journey, it's all good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. 100%. Yeah.
Well, like fucking meeting everyone that I've met you when you start your channel, you don't think you're going to meet anybody, and the next minute you associate with so and so, and then so and so and so and so, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and you're thinking, I only thought I was going to be behind this end, just making videos that you might get family members to watch, or the random person might watch now and again, not to where it gets to.
As a few people, if Ryan's putting there, how long does you commute every day, mate? Right. I'm actually in my last job, I used to be traveling 69 miles, and to get that 69 miles, my gaffer expected me to be on site for 8 o'clock, and I was getting up at stupid o'clock, and I was traveling for 2.5 hours to do 60 mile. I'm now doing 71 mile, and I'm traveling in the opposite direction, and I can do it in an hour and 20 minutes. So the distance, my travel time has cut down by half. When I get there, it's somewhere I want to be, rather than working for some dickhead that I didn't want to work for and doing his work for his arsehole clientele at times, and fed up and miserable. I'm going there now, and I'm loving it, and I'm having a laugh. So, as somebody that Chris's Coy's put in there, got to try and follow your dreams. That's it. It's always been a dream, and well, it's now become a reality. So, and I've got Kev and Ryan and Kev, whichever way around you want to put it, to thank for that. and it's
That's the point, isn't it? Then it doesn't matter whether it took you 4 hours to get to work or whether it takes you 2 minutes down the road. If you're enjoying your job, you don't care how long your commute is there or
exactly,
back.
mate. That's it. Sarah says, "Gaz, you don't work anymore. You go out to play," and that's honestly how it's felt. It honestly has felt that. Yeah, the commute is nothing because the distance I'm going and I'm traveling now is half what I were doing on average. That would have been for the last 8 years. That has been a 2.5 hour commute to work every day. So now to be going only an hour and a half, well, it's a breeze. So it
and you're only going to one destination.
I'm only going to one destination, and I'm going there. Then when I get there, it's literally just first thing in the morning, taking covers off of everything, and then thinking, right, let's feed them. Wang some food in and what every koi keeper that's passionate about keeping koi or passionate about doing what we do, that buzz you see when you see all the Crafty knows what I mean, Rico knows what I mean, Matt will know what I mean. When you see a whole mass of fish that just roar up to its surface and all you can hear is those little lips going on surface of water, that is fantastic. It can never get old. And I get to see that every time, 43 times every day. Or 43 times every feed. It's mint. You just watch fish go nuts for food. And then, you know.
What you look to learn for, though, Gaz, is you stop looking at them and you start looking for the ones that ain't doing that. You start looking for the livestock. You start thinking,
you're right, 100%.
There's one not right.
I have seen that, and Kev walked in and went, because we were going in and we were feeding them, like, and Kev went, hang about, that's not right. Those fish ain't come up, and sure enough, boom, they came down. They'd gone into sleeping coys, and it were a case of right, we get them 3 or 4 days, boom, back on it again. Or just something else where they were saying, when something happens, that's the bit I'm finding really interesting, because you get that kind of stuff and you walk in and Kev points that out and says, I think there's something just not right with that pond. And Ryan's dad and Andy turning around and saying, do us a favor, guys, don't feed them today. I need to check something. And you think, wow, what's up? Well, I think there might be a bit high ammonia in there. I don't know, what makes you think that? Just how water looks. And I was like, really? You can,
It's got gas mask. I can smell it from here, mate.
but that was the thing. They can smell it. Then they can genuinely tell from just a visual look or a smell. And you think, really? And like, yeah, do a test. Oh yeah, and he's right.
There's a huge difference, Gaz, from managing your garden pond to managing multiple ponds of livestock, mate. It's a different scale.
Yeah, but on top of that,
you'll pick it up quickly, mate, because you've got the fundamentals.
It's sweet to be involved with it, and I'm super buzzing. I tell you what, right? We've all been in that job where you think, it's Sunday night, 8 o'clock, working morning, man. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And me and my wife have sat there. Said, can I not just quit? And can we not just not go? I don't want to go. I don't like it. Can we not just both just quit and just say, well, I'm not going there ever again? That's shit. I don't want to work for it. He's an asshole. I don't want to go there anymore. To the point of now when I'm thinking Saturday and Sunday's coming around, sweet. That was Saturday. That was Sunday. Oh, sweet. Work on Monday.
Even better, we'll go back to work.
Yeah, but not in the sense to get out of the house. I don't want to be here, but knowing that I want to go to work. It's been a long time since I've wanted to go to work. A hell of a long time. And I'm not wanting the weekend to disappear faster or to come around quicker, but I'm not dreading the weekend ending. And that's a whole lot of difference. There's a massive difference between being happy in your work and being pissed off and downright miserable. And I've been having chats with customers and people that are coming in, or talking with people when I'm there or what have you. It's brilliant. I'm loving it, and I just want to learn more and more and more. And all that stuff, like you're saying there, Crafty, you'll pick up this, you'll pick up that, you'll pick up other. Yeah, and I can't wait to do. I can't wait to experience it all. If I can manage to learn a tenth of what knowledge I can get out of them in first 12 months, then that'll be fantastic, because I'll be buzzing.
You'll be behind the curve if that's the case.
Right.
What if I manage to learn 1/10 of Andy's knowledge in 12 months? I'll be behind the curve.
Yeah, 100%.
That guy's got 40 years experience, mate. You don't
Yeah,
learn 40 years
it'll take you
experience.
100 years to know his knowledge. Oh no, 10 years. Good maths, me.
How many beers have you had, Rick?
Not enough, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you've had enough yet, have you?
Never enough.
Well, your work, you mustn't enjoy your work then if you're drinking more on a Thursday night.
I'll be there all the time, mate.
You know something, guys? When I first started, mate, in this, I was talking to somebody, and it's quite a daunting thing, right? Moving into the industry without prior knowledge, okay, it's daunting. Get it? You're in a better place than I was because you're surrounded by experience, okay? But I said to a certain individual, I think it'll probably take me, must be 5 years before I'm even got my knowledge to where it should be. And that person said, absolutely not. He said, within the first year, your knowledge would have grown tenfold plus. And that person was not wrong. You learn so much so quickly that,
you telling that
well, honestly, mate, you know, you have this expectation that the knowledge that people hold is so vast, but actually you'll start picking up so much on a day-to-day basis that bit you'll remember, that bit you remember, and you literally become a magnet, right? And if your knowledge retention's good, which I think it probably is, you know, you will find yourself this time next year in a completely different area, and you'll go back and say, well, actually, yeah, it's not that much rocket science. It's just about knowing what to do when shit happens.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Honest to God, I promise you.
Haven't you seen the work that he used to do, Crafty, before he's doing this?
Yeah,
the amount that it takes to do like worktops and stuff like that, and then to blend them in so it looks like there's nothing there. That takes skill and knowledge. So with the koi, that's going to be a heck of a lot easier than trying to do that.
Well, if there's any time that he needs to fucking fill a koi, there's something wrong. Just saying.
I've done lots of different stuff in building trade. There isn't much I can't really turn my hand to. But
you'll be the cutter, mate. You'll be the man that gets the scales out, mending the Benny, Tancho spots. You'll be using your skills.
Spray them up, change your pattern, give it a quick respray, no problem. Yeah, I'm Crafty. More than anything, mate, I'm looking forward to learning all that knowledge and to learning it all and to get in and behind it. That's what I thrive on. If it's something I'm passionate about, Marie will tell you, I don't do anything. If I do something, I don't do it by half. I go like I fall over. I go stupid. I go over the top of it. If I get into something,
the bit that's good. That's really good, mate. But I mean, you know, without poo-pooing what you're saying, right? You've got to come across a big problem before you really start to understand where your levels are. You know, there's massive highs and massive lows in this trade.
Yeah, I imagine there will be, mate.
And you will see it, mate. You know, then when your best koi comes in and it's got a fucking snap back, or its fucking pec fins are all shredded, you know, or you'll come in one day and there's just a fucking fish floating for no apparent reason. You know, one thing as a dealer, right? A lot of dealers out there, they've never lost fucking koi. They don't get ill. It's all bullshit, man. Right? With you know, I don't know a farmer that farms fucking lambs or cows and don't get a sick animal or a loss. Right? We're exactly the same. Right?
Oh,
so you know, all of this
losses,
bravado that I hear. You know, you have losses, mate. It's like some things die because they just die. And other things die because they're fucking stupid, like jumping out of water, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they turn into fucking flipper and do somersaults at about 8 foot in the air and, you know, fall down the side of a pond and you can't get to it, you know?
Oh, you don't go there.
You've got to have the lows And that's when you'll find how challenging this job is, mate.
There's never going to be a low in this job as low as where I've been with fire service, mate. So
no, I'm not on about that as a job. I'm not on about it as a job. I'm on about it as an experience, mate. You've got to really, to understand this job fully, you've got to have them lows.
Oh God, yeah. I imagine there's going to be all sorts of elements. That's going to be that. To me, it's going to be interesting. Whether there's going to be good bits or bad bits to it that I'm going to learn from it, that's going to be because of a negative or because of a positive or whichever, whatever. It's still like you say, it's knowledge that I'm going to have to experience and come across and deal with, which is livestock equals dead stock.
The worst bit, mate, is when it's your fault. You come in and they're dead. And Ryan goes, "Who turned that fucking pump off and let the air out?" And you're like,
I've been there nearly twice, man.
Well, I've already done something wrong. Well, not so much as it being an issue. I put in an air stone, but the airline hose wasn't long enough. But it put the air stone right next to the outlet, so the water that was coming out was restricted. So the filter was just practically trickling. It weren't that bad of a deal. But if I'd have put a piece of longer air hose on that the stone could have been away from me, it wouldn't have been a problem. But then when we come in the morning, filter weren't running right 100%. And that was because I'd stuck an air stone in just to make sure that everything that had come in new had got air. And, one simple little thing like that. But again, it's something you learn from, something you progress from, and you think,
the one thing, mate, is when you're doing a water change, right? Let's say you've got an ammonia spike or whatever. You turn that ball valve to drain. Water starts to go off, and then somebody grabs your attention, right? And then you literally like dealing with that person. Next thing you know, the fucking fish are flapping around on the bottom of the pond. Right? It's like, but
that's the slight difference between I've not got the clientele distraction as what you've got.
But there's potential there, mate.
Oh,
when I come up or Ryan grabs you to do something, it's always there.
It's never going to be as, but that element's never going to be as hard as being on an entry control when you've got 3 teams in breathing operators, or teams of 4, and you've got a full crew with a watch manager coming over to you and 12 people all trying to get you to communicate. I can have 6 different conversations with 6 different people all at once, mate. It's something I've trained my brain to do. You've got to do.
Me too. In the militry, mate.
So I
used to run command vehicles, mate, with 12 different radio channels going off. Yeah. Right, so I'm with you, but soon as it takes you 30 seconds, right? You're down to this much water, and then someone grabs your attention. It only takes 30 seconds to empty it out, right? And then you're with them for 5 minutes. Next thing you know, all that stock, you've got to move the stock. You've got to introduce it into another pond that it shouldn't be in. Right, it creates you another issue because your biosecurity's gone out the window potentially. Right, you've then mixed stock. You've then got to resort the stock after you sorted the pond out, or you leave you don't have them where you are, but on the easiest, mate, you put the tube in, then someone gets your attention. You don't turn that pump off, and you come back next thing, everything's everywhere.
There's so much for you. That's the way you should just go, Harry, come here, mate. Do us a favour, bud.
Not always about.
You got to grab him.
The reality, mate. The reality with koi is they're nice, they're easy, they live, they die, but life is great. Because I come back to my missus who works in A&E and does drug and alcohol and shit. Like you with the fire service, life and death with people in a different world.
Yeah.
We play with fish, mate. Worst thing you do, a fish jumps out, it's your fault. Sorry, Ryan. It's only a yellow dragon, it's worthless.
Sorry, Ryan.
Innit? This is why I'm not being funny. This is why I love my job. Okay, it can be there's highs and lows, but in reality, those highs and lows are pretty easy going.
Well outbalanced. Them highs are by far better than the lows, aren't they?
So
But these are all the things that you guys you're doing it and you've done it and you've got, these are all the things that I've got to learn, pick up and experience, and I'm looking forward to it. There'll be things that obviously I'm not going to be looking all that forward to, especially that. I'm sorry, Ryan, that's my fault. That's never going to be a good one. But yeah, I'm buzzing.
Yeah, but
at the minute it's all roses.
When that whole pond goes
got to
down,
make
mate, and you
mistakes.
kill a pond, you kill a whole pond, right? And that pond's worth 20 grand.
I'll be
Hey,
running
Andy.
up. Yeah, I'll be running up yard because Andy will be going to knock me skull in. So, I'm not
You know,
staying.
but that's you
I
know
mean, gone.
that's the reality of the job.
Oh
position
yeah, I
that
suppose
you've
shit like
taken,
that can happen, mate, can it? And it'd be, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but you're always going to.
Touch wood.
How can you start learn in life if you don't make mistakes?
Learn by other people's, David.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You try to, but you know.
There you go, mate. There's the answer to your question. That's like the one where you say, how long's a piece of string? Well, I'll tell you, it's twice the length from its middle. Next question.
You just have an answer for everything. You can never. If you argue with guys, you can never win.
That's how I used to do it in fire service, mate. I used to go into the job, and when we were there for any training course or whatever, you won't get me putting my hand up first. I'm not going first. No, it's not happening. I'll go third or fourth, and I'll learn from those 3 or 4 people that's gone before me first, so I can learn from their mistakes and process my way through it and think, let's try it this way. And I don't know if that's going to be right, but it's another theory to try because those 5 didn't. So if you can learn from somebody else's, that's a blessing. And hopefully I've got those people around me with enough experience that can share enough for me so that doesn't happen. But I'm not saying it's not going to do because, shit does happen, doesn't it, sometimes, and you have to deal with it. But yeah, I'm surrounded by good, well-knowledge people, so I should be able to absorb some of that or a lot of that or as much as I possibly can and then be able to do what we do. It's challenging, isn't it? That's what life's about. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not living, are you?
No, you can always learn something new every day. You can never stop learning, ever.
Exactly.
Top Jagger makes me laugh. Look, bet you're fun at a party. The truth is, mate. There's a massive truth. When you're at work, you're not at a fucking party. Number one. Number two, it's better to understand what could go wrong. So it's always in the back of your brain.
You're right, mate. Because if that's there in the back of your mind, it's always something you're conscious about.
Bruv.
Yeah. If you've got that in back of your mind and you're conscious about it, you should be less likely for it to happen. If you think life's going to be with bed of roses and then all of a sudden it's not, then you've got that shit to deal with, haven't you? And it's a lot more harder to deal with when you've fucked up, so to speak.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, Crafty. I've done it before where I've just got distracted by dogs or something when I'm playing at Nexus, and next minute the pawn strained a bit too much, or like you said, then the centre's just gone like disaster. You're like, oh, flipping it.
It's not really disaster, mate. It's just a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Yeah. That's where your float switch kicks pump off, or then you're picking up running K1 for the next 3 weeks.
I'm gonna bring this one up just to lighten the subject a little bit. I really misread that then for a minute. I had to double check there and read that.
To make sure it's tucked in.
No, I actually read it like you would have said it then, guys. You had to look at it twice.
What?
There is a story behind that one, actually.
Yeah,
I was putting a pond window in for a customer, and I didn't expect to be having to get into the pond. So I didn't have anything to wear, just my boxers, trousers, dropped my trousers, jumped in the pond, and I'm stood there with the window in front of me. And I looked up at the customer, and she was like, and I was like, oh my God, I knew what she was looking at. And my private parts decided to come out of my boxer shorts on the other side of the window, and she was looking straight. And she still laughs about it now. Every time I see her, it's like, you away, Matt? And I'm like, oh, boy, yeah.
Now, which side of the glass was she on?
And it was cold.
She was on the outside of the pond. I was in the pond.
So she got that magnified look.
Yeah, it's probably.
You give that big wink. How you doing?
Too big.
It's when you just swung your leg back over side of the glass. You went, oh.
Yeah.
Oh dear me. Right then, we did have a topic. Probably gone way off of here, haven't we? Let's bring it up. We have got one topic, and it's a relatively, well, I would say it's a relatively simple one, but it might just be worthwhile seeing what everybody else's opinion is on it. Right. This one is from Gravedigger. Says, for normal everyday koi keeping, do you think feeding treats like prawns, mealworms, etc. is beneficial? Or should you just stick to good old koi food? P.S. Hope you're enjoying the new official role and still got that smile on your face. I certainly have, mate. But thank you very much. Do you think it's beneficial for an everyday koi keeper to feed additional things like prawns, mealworms, etc., etc., you know, silt larvae, pupae, all the rest of it? Or should we just should an everyday koi keeper just stick to a bog standard basic food or a good food, quality food? Whichever. What do you reckon?
My answer to that one, and I tell everybody, you feel good about giving it to them. You think that they're enjoying it, so carry on giving it to them.
That's a good answer, huh? I go with that.
And I would say, would you want to eat the same food every day for 300? Well, like, you know, if you did feed them all the time, 365 days a year. No, I don't think you would. You treat your son to a takeaway now and again. So why would you not treat your koi to the same? It's still beneficial for them.
You're sinking then. What do you reckon, Crafter? What do you think? Treating your fish to mealworms, silkworm, larvae, pupae, you know, soldier flies.
Absolutely. If you're feeding a decent enough food, the food that you feed requires all the nutrient and the diet that is required in a koi. The only reason that stuff is available is merely for the pleasure of the koi keeper.
Yeah,
that is it. And if you enjoy doing it, it's good. But what I would say is that you do it in small amounts, because what you can do is change the perception of what the fish want as a diet, and they will come off your pellet and more towards an insect base, and then you're going to lose a lot of the nutrition, etc. So don't buy the £20 bugs and stuff, because they're a fucking rip-off. There you go.
Just says it how it is, doesn't it?
What do you reckon, Rick? Do you think feeding treats like prawns, mealworms, mussels, all that kind of stuff to your fish every now and again, or should an everyday koi keeper just stick to a balanced diet on a reputable food?
I think a lot of the stuff people feed isn't great. Like those treats, some of those treats aren't great, but I'm a massive believer of mixing stuff up in different ways. So I can't really comment, can I?
You kind of do the mad science thing. You give them a bit of try and all sorts, don't you? You put in all sorts in there, don't you?
Yeah, because we see a lot of the diets are shite, to be fair. It's just quite basic. And I'm not being funny. I watched something the other day about a diet that blew my mind so far out of my mind. I can't speak about it because I just can't.
Blew your mind out your mind.
Fucking blew your mind so far out of your mind. That's mint.
Honestly, I can't even go there. So yeah.
Can we do this afterwards?
No, I can't do it. I can't go there.
You can't get it out of your head. Is it stuck there?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I can't do it. So anyway, the yeah. So we've added stuff to our foods for years because you can't. The best foods are too expensive. The cheap foods are cheap for a reason. If you want to give your fish a treat, mealworms and whatever, great. But in reality, there's so much waste with those.
Yeah, they do. That is one true fact with mealworms. If you give them a good dosing of mealworms and give them a few treats of it through the day and think, right, nothing now for a couple of weeks and I'll give them a few more, that following morning, man, there's so much shit on bottom of your pond, it is unreal.
But that's their real diet. So you get a lot of people go on about fish meal. Fish meal is not a carbs diet. It's not a coys diet. So from that point of view, anyone that goes on about, oh, yeah, fish meal is probably the best we have to commercially feed our fish, but it's not their natural diet. Insect meal is their natural diet.
Their natural diet, yeah.
As is plant-based food. That is a coys natural diet, but it's not as efficient as fish meal. But I'm not going down that. So yeah, fish meal is brilliant, but where it's sourced, how it's processed, what you pay for it, how it's put into the foods is a bit of a point. So yeah, well, I mix stuff, to be honest. I add banana powder, kelp powder, mangosteen, all sorts of stuff, because in reality, the more varied the diet, if it's got benefit points, the better. But if you add it as like these treats that people give them, it's a lot of waste, isn't it? But if you buy a product that's milled down to a point where you can add it to a food so they can digest it properly, you're giving it to them without the waste and seeing the benefit of that or not, depending on what you put in. I think there's a massive scope for diets and foods, and we just see the same stuff churned out, different format again and again. Yeah,
I think the biggest thing for most people, whatever you're feeding, is water clarity and the amount of waste that it produces when it comes out over end. If there's minimal amount of waste and your clarity is good and your fish are growing and they're healthy and thriving on it, the odd treat every now and again is just something to give them a little bit, like Dave said, it's a little bit of a takeaway, isn't it? And perhaps now, as Matt says, if it makes you feel good doing it and the fish are enjoying it, then where's the harm in it?
There's nothing. That's the point. It's pretty boring, a koi in a pond, isn't it? So
Yeah.
do I say chase around and eat
Give them some
out a few times, go, what the hell is that? Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
Like having a lettuce, an iceberg lettuce suspended over. It gives the fish something to do, doesn't it? It gives them something to chase around. A piece of watermelon floating on the surface of your pond. It gives your fish something to do. The amount of people that you see feeding crab sticks, is it any real?
It's one of those. Is
it really any good for them? No,
fish
not really,
with
probably not. But
it's not going to do your fish any great favors. It's not going to do them any great harm. But it's just you interacting with them in a different way.
Exactly, yeah. And you get that bond between you and your fish, don't you? I think there's a lot to be said for sitting outside of your pond, and I quite often sit there and throw them a few mealworms, or I throw them a few silk larvae pupae, or some of those other ones. What do they call them? Freshwater shrimps. Feed that kind of stuff, and I do give but I don't put. I put that. What I do is I mix in some of the food that they're on with them. So when I throw an amphila on, they get the normal koi food with it as well. So the koi food is based with the treat, and then I find that way then they eat it all, as opposed to they don't just pick off all the mealworms and everything else. They eat the koi food as well, and then when you're going back to the next day, you're just throwing in koi food. They're still coming up for it. But I have seen, like what Crafty says, if you do feed like mealworm, and then you throw pellets on next day, sometimes you just leave those pellets and think, where's the mealworm? And they do shift a little bit, and you think, oh shit. So you sparingly if you're going to do it. What about the things like Ricardo's asked there, Gaz, mealworms you give to your koi, are they the same mealworms that you feed to the birds?
Yeah.
Well, I feed this. I get mealworms and I put those in bird feeder, mate. Yeah. So I let birds have some too.
Yeah, it's all those natural foods, great. But the reality is, there's so much, let's say, waste. The product you pay a premium for a bag of it, when actually, if you ground that down and put it into a food, it's nothing, is it? And that's exactly what they do to make the food. They grind down insect meal, fish meal, whatever, to make the food. Oh, hello.
That's someone's TV.
Is that you, Matt? Are you watching another YouTube channel, or you sat there quiet in corner contemplating whether or not you should feed mealworms in the morning?
Definitely not me.
Yeah, the whole food thing is just, it's mental at the minute. I don't know. Some of it blows my mind. At the end of the day, yes, our best feed for carp to get them to grow fish meals. And obviously, but there's an issue with sourcing fish meal and how it's prepared to whether is it justifiable to whatever. It's a difficult one. Don't know.
That's a long answer, but it's a difficult.
I'll go into it because people I can't do it. So yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? If you've got high-end fish and you want the best results, you will use a food that's proven to give you those results. Not just and growing koi is not the be end and end all, is it? If you put extra fat on the organs and they dry, then you're not going to be happy. And if the skin quality is shit after a year, you're not going to be happy. If you've got one or two diets that have been used for 20 years that produce the results, and you want to have great fish to take to a show, you'd be a bit of a mug to then go, well, this one's quarter the price. Let's see what it can do. Because but there is gaps in the market, and there is people that should better fill those gaps with foods that are good. But yeah,
I suppose it's
Marshall, and they do feed trials every year, and the outcome basically was, the best food's trout food, which was fish meal. Now it's salmon food because trout food's not allowed to put the fish meal in it. And the reality is that's just to get fish to grow when they're young to a certain point at a certain speed. That's longevity, that's not quality throughout. It's
I was going to say, same with catfishing, they're trying to stop as much fish meal stuff going into boilers and stuff. They're trying to switch that out because the fish or something. I read half an article and I'm like, if I want to go fishing, I'll go fishing. If the boilers have got fish meal in, they're the ones, and that's it.
Anyway,
I think that the only way it will ever be worked out is if a serious koi farm said, look, we're going to grow 1,000 of our sankey on this, 1,000 of our sankey on that, 1,000, and run them for 7 years on diet, and actually then compared properly. Other than that, it's just short-term results. Who knows? There could be.
To actually do a comparison, it's a big exercise, isn't it? I mean, I've heard people talking about different foods and saying they fed food for X amount of days. Best thing I've ever fed. What? You ain't going to find out any results from anything in a matter of days or a matter of weeks. You need to know and see the difference over 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. How are you going to really know unless you put all those fish through that feeding regime for a long period of time to say that it's better than what you did in the last 7 years prior to it with similar stuff?
The only place you learn that really from is farms in Japan that have used certain foods for years or whatever, isn't it? Even what we do, and to have a few tanks of fish go, they love it and they're doing really well. It's like absolute, you can easily create food that will make fish grow. You can make food that make the colours better, but can you make food if doing those things, does it damage the livers, or does it do this, or does it do that longevity wise? I don't know. Unfortunately, some of the stuff I've heard lately just is insane. So
it's marketing, selling it.
Yeah, there's marketing, and obviously all foods. Everyone needs to be there, and if you're producing a food, you've got to have some knowledge of it, scientific knowledge, as well as industry knowledge. So they're two things, and obviously the price of ingredients is going to reflect on the price of the food. So if a good ingredient everyone wants to use is £50 a kilo, then suddenly you can only use X amount of in your diets or whatever. I don't think there's a magic bullet. I think a good food costs money. Yeah. I'd love to use, I'm not really a fan, I'd love to use Sake Hikari colour across the board on our fish. And our fish would look better for it. They'd do better for it. But we've already worked out the pricing and we'd have gone out of business pretty damn quick. So, yeah. It's the course, isn't it?
Cost is one of the big major factors into anything that you're feeding any animal, really, isn't it? Especially when you're doing it on a commercial basis like what you are. I mean, yes, it'd be fantastic to be able to give them all the top end branded foods that we're going to do this and other. But if that literally puts you under in space of 12 months, what's point anymore? It's the cost. That's one of the things. The price of koi food, price of lots of things within the industry are so damned expensive. And I don't really see as to why a lot of it really should be as expensive as it is. When you were talking about like dog food, cat food, koi food, all made from pretty damn similar kinds of ingredients, yet we get his arse spanked when it comes to fish in a pond, but not the dog that's living on living room floor.
Yeah, but again, it's where it's manufactured, what the rules around it are about. And yeah, unfortunately, we do pay over the odds. For the decent koi food in this country, we are getting our asses whooped. There's no doubt about it, but it is the best. At the end of the day, like I was saying, if you've got 10 fish in your pond that you're paying thousands of pounds each for, and they're really fishy you want to take to a show and to look their best, then you've got to go with proven food that's going to make sure those fish look their best for the show. Otherwise, what's the point? If you give them a food that, they really enjoy it, they're doing well, 2 months later you find they're fat as fuck and the colour's falling to bits, then suddenly you'll be like, well, I've just ruined them I've ruined 50 grams worth of fish for the sake of a few hundred quid's worth of food. It doesn't work, does it? So you've got to go with a proven track record of these foods are the best. It's just fact, isn't it? If they've done it, they do it. It's a risk to use different foods, and some foods might be better, some foods might be worse, some foods might be the same. I'm not saying any are or what, but at the end of the day, yeah, you can only go with certain things in the industry of fact. Certain things are environmental that can change. Some things are just complete bullshit. Just
is what it is. But Malcolm X says Sake Hikari is number one. Aqua Master mix with wheat germ Hikari is a good staple based off experience. JPD, bang for your buck as well.
A lot of foods change, isn't they? Like it's just the difference between. So, yeah, they're manufactured in different places. The Sake Hikari is only manufactured in Japan, but JPD was manufactured at Coppens for a while under license, but then it wasn't. And then you're like, if they know if they can make that food under license, they know what goes in the food. It's not a secret. It's not a secret any of the foods, is it? They know every manufacturer of foods will know what goes into other manufacturers of foods, but it's got to be they could either not do it because it's not cost effective, or it's not licensed in this country or that country or where it's manufactured. They'll make their choice as a business. Should we do this? Should we do that? Should we do the other? What fits our market?
Do you think with the likes of Sake Hikari and it going up, and the price of it's going to increase to whatever it's
already increased, Gus.
Yeah, it's already has. Do you think it would? I mean, a lot of that is from there to here, regardless. Over there. At the end of the day,
we were in the wholesalers, so we went out there and we were going to buy some bags, whatever. And in the big fucking wholesalers in Japan, it was for the Sake Hikari colour, was worked out as £100 a bag, right? That's
what, nearly 150 quid cheaper than over here.
That's nearly 300 quid over it now.
Is it nearly 300?
But they're selling at that, so it's still being manufactured for probably nearer 50 quid, isn't it? Realistically, if the wholesaler's selling it for 100 quid or whatever, so there's a lot of margin on it, but it's handled by a lot of people, and it's a pig to get, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a research that why wouldn't they? If you've got license to bring that product into the country and you're the only one that can, why wouldn't you make money off it?
Yeah, but if that's the case, why is nobody? I mean, they've got the license to bring it into this country, but they managed to get that license. So why can't anybody else to put competition there to drive down their prices? Because at the end of the day, they're manipulating the market, and that market is spanking our ass.
What about Apple iPhones?
Yeah, I mean, it's the case for everything and anything, isn't it? It's not just cow food that it affects us with. We pay over the odds. I mean, what is it? An iPhone 16 costs something like 50 quid to make, or 40 quid to make. We get charged nearly $3,000 for one.
But that's
$2,000, is it? $2,000.
You pay it. It's a demand for a product that's all right. And at the end of the day, Saka Hikari is just a general fish food with a few added bits. It's the best, but it's got a few bits in it that other people either aren't allowed to put in or don't know how to put in. It's not
right. So we'll come back to that one, mate. So I'm just gonna So number one, in Japan, all right, they've got a completely different economic system to what we've got in the UK. Right, that's fact, and that's why you can get a bag of colour, for example, for what equates to 100 quid over here. All right. On top of what Pedigree will be paying, they will be paying shipping rates, normal VAT, and they've possibly got a minimum purchase order that they have to fulfil as well in order to keep the license. I'm just clutching at straws on that. On top of that, if they've got a minimum purchase, which I believe they probably have, right, they've got to buy X amount. And in order to get that across, they've then got to store that X amount in a warehouse somewhere that takes up valuable space, right? And this is the argument I have with Saki as well. Probably takes up valuable space, which increases how much they're asking for it, all right? It will go through, we, as dealers, we're third hand. Right, we're not going straight from the manufacturer. We're going from the person that holds the license who sets the price, and then as a dealer, you don't understand if you're in the authorized Saki Hikari program, there are certain things that you have to adhere to in order to get there. So we have to order food 3 months before it actually hits our shelves. All right. And generally, we will get the order prior a week later after the order that we've just put on for 3 months' time. So we're blind. All right. The people handling it are a joke. Right. And I'll back what Ryan says on that. There's just it's made so difficult. And we get told things like, you know, the price has increased, etc. We haven't put price. They have put prices up year on year. We as dealers, I'm not speaking for everyone, I speak for myself on this, but as dealers, it's super important that you've got a product on the shelf that is number one, all right, because it's the premium koi food, right? But ultimately, the price that they're also charging us, right, it's not what we put on the shelf. The price is dictated to us by Saki or the people that do it. So they tell us what our prices are. So, you know, it's not dealers that make, and we make fuck all money out of it in comparison to how much stock it actually, how much shelf space it takes. I could put Takazumi in the same section and earn 3 or 4 times as much as a company than what I do having Saki on the shelf.
So there's surely to God then, if that be the case, it would be more beneficial for all dealers to say, you know what? We ain't buying it no more. We're going to replace it with Takazumi. Give your clients a good alternative. And when they've stuck with that warehouse, because I mean, you were saying that they've got to bring it in a large amount, large quantities. So if they've got to bring it in a large quantity, they've got to have a large warehouse to store it in. Now, the fastest way to remove that stuff from in their product so that they can replace it with a new product is to sell it at a more reasonable price. The faster that they get it out of their warehouse, the faster they can get the next lot in. The faster you
such a
can
huge
put it on
amount.
your shelves and sell it to your customers to get it off of your storage and get it out of your profit, well, get it out of your company.
But it goes further than that, guys. When you're looking at it in a commercial environment, okay, so to be an authorized dealer, you have to meet certain constraints, okay, and then all of a sudden, within a year, there's now 15 or 16 more authorized dealers. The whole purpose of being an authorized dealer is that you minimize where the availability is at. So those dealers that do put it on their shelf get the custom for it. But now it's getting less and less. And then price wars start happening. And it doesn't make it viable for a company
even have
like
on the
mine
shelf.
to actually put it on the shelf. Like I said, I could stock my shelf with something completely different, and the company would earn by far a lot more money out of it than what we do off the back of sake. However, sake has to have a place in the shop, right? Because it is what people want. You know.
But if in a short term, the best way to drive down the market is to stop consumer. If you don't consume, they've got to drop the price because they're sat on. They'll be sat on all that stock, and at end of 12 months, it's all got a shelf life. It's no good to them.
Right,
they're sat with thousands of thousands of
this, mate. It's so true, right? But getting everybody on side, guys, is absolutely not going to happen ever.
Yeah, well,
right?
But
bearing in mind,
to be there, isn't it? If you stop stocking it,
if someone else will take it.
Yeah. That's the only downside.
Or your custom goes to other places. You know, it's a real nasty war. And the prices, I promise you, I know of 5 or 6 dealers that are really pushing back, me being one of them, on everything that the company that supplies sake do. We make as much noise as we can for the guys that actually purchase it. And the issue that they've got is that there's other brands coming out. That's so true. You know, and the problem they've got is there's other brands coming out now that potentially, you know, is going to stir the market up a little bit.
Yeah, but I suppose that's what the market requires, though. So it's not dominated by just one big popular brand rather than having a few.
Forget what the food is. Forget the fact that what it is, right? Supply equals demand. Yeah, always does. If we were talking about fuel prices and we wanted to bring down our fuel prices, a lot of other countries, they drive their fuel prices down, and they do it by standing behind what they believe it should be and getting together as a country to drive that demand down by boycotting it and not purchasing it or blockading it and everything else. It's the only way to deal with that type of thing is to stop purchasing it. You stop purchasing it, and then they're left with tons upon tons upon tons upon tons of the shit in the shed, in the warehouse, that all goes out of date that they can't sell. And what do they do then? They either go bust or they reduce the prices to put the market back to where it should be.
Absolutely.
We tried that, didn't we, with the petrol? I seem to remember.
We did. Yeah. But as usual, we all went, oh, go on then, carry on charging us because we're a bit soft and we're not quite like the French where we're going to say, fuck it, stick it to the man. You're not doing it no more.
It's dearer.
We just roll over too much. That's the problem.
We get screwed. The problem is, if there's a product everyone needs or wants, you can only hold out.
That's the point, though. You don't want is different to need. The fish will eat what you put in front of them. At a point where they get to a point where they're so hungry, they ain't got a choice. They will eat it. And even if it's only for 10 months or so, by feeding a slightly less of food, that will drive down their demand. And if they're left with stock that they can't sell, what have they got a choice to do?
Do you not think the other option is better, that someone actually fucking makes a decent food?
That's what I say. That there needs to be somebody out there that competes against them. That is good enough or very similar to it, which then might change their mind a bit. But like Crafty says, if X amount of people stop buying it, then the other ones are going to go, well, I'll take their customer and I'll get it from there instead. And then that's why I suppose you've got that war all the time, because if one doesn't do it, somebody else.
But you're talking about dealers, Dave. Right? The consumer controls the market. Always has. If you don't buy it, they ain't got no to sell. Fact.
But someone could make a decent food to match it.
They could. Very much so, mate. It's not
If
like
they
it's
could.
not.
If they could. And this is a problem, right? So personally, sake growth, not fucking really that bothered about. If I'm perfectly honest, there's, you know, if you get a lot of waste out of others, but stop being a lazy bastard and clean your fucking filters. Simple as that. And to be perfectly honest, in an environment like in the commercial, where you've got, let's say, I don't know, 40 fish in a pond, and you're feeding them quite heavy in order to get them up, right? Waste this is where sake comes in on its own, because the waste reduces the amount of resource time to look after 40 ponds. All right. In a garden pond, it don't really make too much odds, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So things like EA growth, for example, and I know that the waste on that can be quite heavy, but actually in your garden pond, it's not going to be the same as what you're going to get in a commercial environment. But it's going to be a fraction of the cost. You're going to get the same amount of results. You just got to be a little bit busier and maintain your filters a little bit more. Simple, all right? But if that's the cost it takes in order for you to put a good growth in, I think that's a good compromise. On top of that, sake colour is by far the best on the market by a fucking long way, right? What that does is absolutely bang on. But the best one for most people in a garden pond that are not looking to actually do anything other than enjoy their fish, sake balance, is a reasonable food. In fact, very good food. It don't break the fucking bank, but it's more expensive than others. If you want something that's close to that, in my opinion, Takazumi ticks the boxes.
Yeah. I
Mm.
couldn't disagree.
Feel a little bit more.
I've seen this. I've seen this gentleman just produce the same kind of color quality by adding additives to a far simpler food.
But yeah, because it's a pain in the arse, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, mate. I mean, there's an element of having to put in a bit more work to it to get, but it does work, Rick, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, but it doesn't translate into other people doing it unless a food manufacturer does it at source. Then it doesn't work. So it's nailing down what additives do what and stuff. So I can create. I can't replicate sake yet. I'm getting closer, but the amount of effort I go to, and I don't know which bits. It's such a project. It's unbelievable, and but it's doable. That's what winds me up. The fact that there's a gap in the market for someone to produce a like for like colour food in Europe, in this country, wherever. And it is being talked about, it is being researched, but it just needs to happen, doesn't it? Because
but like Crafty says, the nearest probably one to sake for your average koi keeper is Takazumi. I've used it for the last 18 months. I've had next to no waste in the pond. And like you say, you just do an extra filter clean a week. But other than that, I'm getting decent results off it for the size pond that I have, for the amount of koi I've got in it.
But
the problem is,
again,
until someone raises a grand champion in this country on Takazumi or whatever, then you're not even in the same. If those big end koi keepers that are producing big fish that look amazing have got to be using a diet that competes like for like, it's not being done yet, is it? It should be being done. It's not being done. Don't know why.
But it's like your average koi keeper, or majority, not all of them, but ones that don't go to shows, is there really much point in feeding sake if you're not going to the shows and stuff like that? And that's what I say. Everybody's a different level in the koi keeping out there. There's nobody on the same level, but it's what you want to get out of the hobby, where everyone's sort of on an even par, no matter what par it is.
When you're a hobbyist, you're feeding totally different, Dave, to someone that's a show person. I mean, just to get that amount of body on a fish in comparison to a pet fish that me and you have got, it's unreal. The level of that and what they're feeding them fish is fucking hell. They give more food to their fish in a fortnight than what we probably feed to our fish in a whole damn year.
Well, you know how tight I am.
That's realistic. It's that much of a difference. I'm not bullshitting though, am I?
Yeah, but that's a different. It's a different. You talk about different scenario. To get that extra bit of body, to get that last 10% of body, you got to feed an extra 30% of food and cope with the waste that comes from that,
and the systems to do so as well.
So, yeah, most hobbyists don't need anything crazy, do they?
No, they don't. No.
But
everybody wants to get
this is the bit. That's the bit that gets me the most. It's like everyone says sake this, sake that, sake this, sake. I mean, most of the time, it's not required in people's ponds. And not only that, but people will stretch just to get it because they think that it's a requirement. It really isn't. You know, it is the best bit like food on the market, but it's got to be used in a way that actually, you know, the results speak for themselves. But ultimately, their appetite increases, skin quality looks good. If you're feeding correctly in the correct system, you will see better body. What's the word I'm looking for?
Mass.
Confirmation.
Mass. Thank you. And confirmation. There's so much, but actually, so many people don't require it. It's beyond belief, and it's always a topic of discussion. Which is the best food? Well, I promise you, right? Sake is the best food, right? But it's fucking very expensive for what it is, in my opinion. And most people will achieve, you know, the results that they need on a cheaper product and still get the same amount of enjoyment out of the fish and what they will buying sake akari.
Yeah, because it's not in your own pond. It's not just what you feed. It's your environment, what filters you run, how often you clean your filters, how clean your pond is. Just sort of, the list is not endless, but it's not a short list, is it really?
Daniel, this is not. Again, I don't want to go down that line where it sounds like we're giving you a bashing, mate, because there's no 360 has not been brought up at all. But this is another food that's out there on the market, and we have heard the words of some of the people that are in there and are using it in the show scene. And I do know of a place personally where it's being used, and I do know of somebody personally that's using it. And this is
me too.
This is definitely a food that could make that difference. And they stick it in a 15 kg bag as well. So I don't understand why. Get it in a 15 kg bag. Let's get it out to the masses a bit more and see.
Let me come in on 360. All right, because at the minute there's a big marketing push for 360. All right,
and obviously, rightly so.
There's nothing wrong with this. You know, right, but there's a big marketing push. So Lee Hadfield's using it. I know somebody else that's using it on quite a grand scale. Right, I know a few of my customers use it. All right, but is it going to challenge sake? It's got potential to challenge sake. Right, the issue that people have got, right, and I'll be totally fucking honest, right, Dan, on this. This is how I see it. Right, it's not going to dealers. Right, and there's this contrived thing that, right, the reason it's not going to dealers is to keep the price down. Well, I've already looked at the prices, all right, and actually you're selling it in a 10 kg bag, where sake are doing a 15, and actually when you start doing the math, I know which way I'd go, all right? So you're doing yourself out there. If it was to go to dealers, I don't think the margin's going to be good enough for people to start putting it on the shelf. So
to put it on the shelf again, the same thing, because it's coming direct for them at 80 quid. You stick it to a dealer, they put their percentage on, price goes up.
I also know that the demand right now can be, or could be a problem, because if it does take off, right, and you've done a good thing getting Lee Hadfield involved, because he is such a good influencer with the people in the koi world that people are already saying his name and saying, if this turns out to be good, well, actually, people, I know more than enough people, right, that have used it.
We've had good
this
positive vibes
this
about
year.
it, haven't we?
This year is going to be quite a tell for them, I think. But one thing that they've got to sort out is their logistic nightmare, logistic chain into the UK. Because if it does take off, you're going to lose a lot of confidence in the ability to supply your custom. Right, so get yourself a warehouse and get yourself more than whatever tonnage it is that you're bringing in at the minute. I promise you, it's not enough.
But from a flip side, I'm not being.
No, please do. It's good to have controversy.
All those toes I turn out a pile of shite. Right.
That's the negative side of it. I mean, if Lee doesn't get a tenth of the results that he's ever had before, then what?
He needs 100%.
Like exactly. That's what I mean.
I know Daniel's a hobbyist, the guy that, you know, he done a podcast with somebody else recently. I know he's a hobbyist at heart. I know the people that he's talking with, and this food has been about in Europe for some time. And I know the guy out in Europe that was distributing it. I was talking to him prior to Daniel taking it on, if I'm perfectly honest. But ultimately, having a couple of majors and a GC, all right, is not necessarily all of Nutrimare's. You know, the award shouldn't go to Nutrimare. The people that won that were only feeding it for, you know, a small period of time. Prior to that, I know them people were feeding sake. Right, so actually, going to Lee is really going to be a trial and testament, because
he's doing it from Tosa, isn't it? He's doing it from the start.
Yeah, you know, people get pulled into this big thing, right? And I'm really not poo-pooing 360. I'm being realistic, all right, and trying to balance people's view, all right. If he does it from the start and we get good growth, good body conformation, good skin, good color, right, everything else, right, and we know that Lee's systems are very good, all right, and his abilities to identify the right koi, etc., are in the right bracket. All right, so actually, if he doesn't change anything, it's going to be interesting how the water works, how the fish react, right, to that, whether they still keep a really healthy, light appetite, and if they do, how they actually body mass, right? Because the GC from down in Southeast was not all Nutrimare. It was sake, right? And I know Dave Gardner very well. And I know his pond setup, and I know what he's done in the past.
Well, he told us live on here, didn't he? He said
yeah. You know, so, you know, this year is going to be quite a telling year for 360. I know that Danny is a hobbyist, but ultimately he's still pushing this brand into the UK, and good on him for it. And I wish him all the best. All right, but he's still in it for the money, because he's the only person that is bringing it into the UK at the minute. All right, so just bear that in mind when you start hearing things, because it's marketing, right? Marketing is what gets people involved. I do it, Rick does it, Matt does it, Gaz will be doing it, all right? All of that sort of thing in the industry is what we're about, all right? But you have to have a balanced opinion and really pull in from different areas before you make the assumption that that is the best food on the market.
My only worry with it, and it's the same with all of them, because it's always been the case. And Daniel, I'm not poo-pooing you in any way, shape, or form. Right? Once you get your clientele, once you get your market, once you get your people that think, right, this stuff is as good as it says, how long is it going to be before it starts doing that?
Yeah.
Because they all do, and they always will. You say it's a food for the people, but how long will it be before your supply goes up, your prices go up, and we end up in exactly the same place where we are now in 3, 4, 5 years' time as what we are with sake?
What I will say is
at the end of the day, you can't.
No, I'm just. But that's what happened with sake, didn't it? That's what sake came to the market. It was a more expensive food, and it's gone and gone and gone and gone. And now it's more popular. Everybody's seen the results of it. Everybody thinks what it's feeding. Everybody thinks they should be feeding it. The price has hit the.
It's been massively pushed by Ricky Stoddart, and that's where a lot of the marketing come from. You know, with sake, you pushed it hard that everyone started to then really get onto the bandwagon with sake. You know, there was people using it prior to Ricky. Don't get me wrong. But the growth come from initially off the back of Ricky Stoddart's marketing campaign for it.
Should we get
We'll be
and he should, and he does. You know?
At the end of the day, results will show 100%. And I'm just there's all this going to do this, do that, do the other. At the end of the day, you just need to prove a
just
point.
feed your koi what you can afford to feed. That's the fucking bottom line.
We supply food and people go, yeah, it's the best food I've ever used. And it's like, well, it is what it is. It's not the best food, but it's the right price point. It does well. It is what it is.
That's what it's about, though, isn't it? Everybody's got a different price bracket for what they want to pay for the fish. Some people will go above and beyond for their fish and put more into the fish than they will put into their own house. Whereas others put the fish at the back of the list to concentrate on who's in the house. It's just everyone's got them different budgets as well, which is, like you said, Rick, why people have got different, like yours is the best for them, what they want. Another bit, as long as I put in my view, as long as it's better than them Rice Krispies that people can feed, then anything's better than Rice Krispies. In my view, anyway.
So no, I don't mind a bowl of Rice Krispies in the morning.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The toy version of Rice Krispies.
You're not talking about peaches and cream. Leave them out of it.
No, it's worse than peaches and cream. It's them ones where they're just like little stick things and they come as green and red and yellow and white. And stuff.
Bag of air puffs.
Yeah, them ones. Rice Krispies, as I call them, air puffs. Might call them that.
I think at the end of the day, if you've got a fish food and you're marketing it, fair play on them. They put their neck out. Lee's going to feed his little toso with them. In 7 years, let's see what those fish look like. Because that's the reality.
Right, but that's the beauty. That's the beauty of him doing it, though, mate. We're going to be able to, aren't we? That's the thing. Not only are we going to be able to see it, it's going to be everybody's going to be able to see it.
Lee's never keeping his fish for a year.
No, but he'll move his fish on him for a year.
But we'll get to see 3 years worth of growth, and whoever else takes them on then afterwards, therefore, will probably always.
If he chooses to stay on it.
Well, yeah,
because he hasn't got rid of his stacking gas.
I know. I did give him a little offer. I'll take it.
But truth is, right? The bottom line is, you don't need sake to feed your fucking fish. If you're not in the show scene, you don't necessarily need it.
Of course you don't. I'm feeding them on bananas, seaweed, and dog food. They're doing well.
Yeah.
It's always going to be one of those topics, isn't it? And Daniel, I really do hope, mate. I really do hope when it comes to it and the verdict's out, we all do have that smile on our face. I really do think, if it does, I will get to find out.
Yeah, Dan, you're listening to feedback, right? The food's been going some time in Europe, right? Get some results from Europe and show people what people are achieving in Europe using that food. All right, that may just give you another little jab in the right direction. All right, because if the history is there and the results are there from Europe, then that will only help your marketing campaign next.
Yeah, I think
Alan's just popped in there. Personally, I think Lee will get good growth. Protein, amino acids, ash look really good. I think the fat content a little high, but
5.5% fat.
But not a big issue.
Yeah, but I don't think
it's not a big issue if you've got a
decent. You're going to get good growth. It's a fish food, designed as a fish food. Right? It's not an issue. It's full of decent fish meal. We're not going into the fish meal side of it on this again because but you could feed literally a good fish meal wrapped in a anything, and they will grow literally 1 to 1. But that's not the issue, is it? We're trying to grow quality koi. The growth is like one part of it. Is the terry going to look good? Is the benny going to look good? Is the bone structure going to look? Is the organs going to tolerate that much fish meal for 4 years before they get so much fatty acid on their kilo? This is the issue. This is the whole point of fish foods to this level, isn't it? So I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it needs a lot of research and development, and obviously they've done that point. I've only heard parts of it, and I've heard multiple parts for 30 years of people saying this fish food's amazing, this fish food's great, it's going to do this, it's going to do that.
I think Nutrimare should offer out a free factory tour to the GKP, and we should go out there and have a tour around the factory and see what it's all about. Get in touch, 360. Let's make it happen.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't ask, you'll never know.
Very obviously, Jeremy, a few beers, Rick. Have a wander around, have a look at it, see what it's about.
Do a bit karaoke.
Big stinking fish stuff moulding up into. It's going to be grim.
Grim.
Food factory.
No, man.
You're going to think of everything else, Rick. You get
be a documentary.
Have beers. What more do you want?
I weren't just looking out for myself there. I said, the cast, all of us. I'm not just thinking about me. I mean, I'd just be there with the camera watching Matt spew up in a corner when all we can smell is stinky koi food. After a night out on ale with us all beforehand.
He'll be on the run, won't he?
Adam.
Do it At the end of the day,
you never know unless you ask. I
hope the food works out really well, and there's a competition, and people take note. But EA Pro's the same fish meal. It's just down the same line, isn't it? It's not. What does Saki Hikari pride itself on?
Quality. Secret ingredients. The secret, mate. The secret bit. That's what they pride themselves on. That crack that they put inside it.
What does it? When you smell it, it doesn't smell like fish food. It doesn't smell like stinky. It doesn't. It smells like a chocolatey, yeasty, nice. It smells good, doesn't it?
that sounds like Rick's.
Have you smelled Nutrimare 360?
No.
I have. I smelt it.
Smelled like fish food.
It smelled like pigeon food, to be fair. That was my first thought, my first memory of a smell that I thought that smells like some pigeon food my dad used to feed when I was a nipper. That was the first thought in my head that took me back to
pigeon food
with a hint of garlic.
So you get aniseed and garlic oil on a lot of foods, and it's an aroma that triggers in the brain, isn't it?
Mm.
But I hope they do. I hope they do well. I just hope there's loads of fish foods suddenly appear on the market that are good.
I do as well.
Fortunately,
it's germ, Daniel. There you go. That's it. That's what I pride myself on, the germ. It's crack.
But it is that prebiotic, probiotic, whatever. The Hikari germ is the difference.
I just want to clear one thing up that was mentioned on the podcast, and it was fish meal within Nutrimare. Basically, low temperature fish meal is not from fish caught in low temperatures. It is the production of it in low temperature. Right. So I just want to put it out there, guys. Right, just so people are aware.
Serious.
See, I didn't go there, mate.
See, now you know what he's watched now.
Oh, dear me.
Guys, this is what, people need to know what they're getting into with regards to what they're buying, etc., man. So when you listen to stuff, know what you're listening to and know what is really happening. That's all I'm going to say. It is what it is.
On that note, I'm going to be up at 5, so that's a possibility.
Just
We're going
stay
to
out.
sleep
Right.
past it
Well,
next time.
David,
Anyway,
I tell you what, as we have been live for 3 hours, 4 minutes, and 15 seconds, we don't see you through a week. We'll see you through a window.
see if you window. Yeah. Well, yeah, because
Good
you
to
never
see
know.
you,
You might
bud.
get run.
It's been nice to have a natter and a chat again, mate.
Well, you never know. You might get a knock on your door one day because it's on that
You're back over here now, aren't you? You're back in Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Back outside your window, mate. Can you not see him?
Hello, I'm here. If I just move away, you can see him through a window anyway. No, not that close. Anyway, take it easy, and I shall speak to you when I speak to you.
You will do, mate. Nice one. Good to see you, bud.
Right.
Everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Can you remember how to do it? Oh, damn it, you did. Well, that went in all directions this evening, didn't it?
It's good though, isn't it? If you get it out there, and I hope it's all out there.
That neutral air and that time will tell them. You know, I think it's got potential in the market, but there's a couple of areas I think that have been overlooked a little bit personally. So.
At the end of the day, if it's good, everyone will be on it, and if it's shit,
Absolutely.
Listen,
Or if it don't, or people may like it, people may not. People, you'll get some custom, you'll lose some custom. No doubt. That's the market that you work in, isn't it? It's going to be very difficult to knock sake off the top, other than the price point. The price point is the big thing for sake that makes it such a talking point.
But if it's a good food, as Daniel said, if it's a good food for the people and it's cheaper and getting good results from it, mate, and it seems as a positive as it is, then anybody that's saying, "Hey, I feel like I'm tempted to have a go," pick up the phone, place an order, try it. What you got to lose?
Absolutely.
End of the day, you got nothing to lose.
You know, the makeup of the food, in an unheated pond may be a little bit harder wearing on fish in a colder climate. I personally think, just looking at the breakdown of the actual ingredients, but ultimately summer, I think it'll probably do good, fairly have decent results.
can do.
For me,
mate.
I'd like to see if it water clarity, waste, growth, and if the fish are healthy and look good on it, that's ticked all boxes. And if it does it, it does it.
Like Josh says, £100 for a 10-kilo bag, but 15 kilos for a sake balance at 160. There's not much price difference. I know where I'd go because it's tried and tested for the same sort of price, and that's where I think they've got it wrong at that level.
Yeah, Josh put that. It's still basically £100 for 10 kg delivered. Can get 15 kg of sake balance for 160 delivered.
So it's same.
The postage has been the bump in the price. The other thing is, I guess in its own, Daniel, it's only going to be a product that you're going to do out of delivery from your warehouse to your clients. That's the big one is there's been a walk into a shop, pick up a bag of it while they're there to do whatever they're doing, have a look around a koi store. That's where it really needs to be for you to make a real difference. If you want a food out to the masses, you're going to have to be pouring it on the shop floor.
All right, so just bring that last comment up for me, Gaz, please. Postage has been the bump in price. Right, and that's coming from Germany to the UK. All right, so when you see it coming from the opposite side of the world, all right, it's a relevant cost, and if Europe are seeing it, imagine what it's like when you're traveling half of the globe, and that's all relative. Sorry, Rick.
You can borrow it, mate, but don't keep it.
I won't keep it. I'll give you it back right now.
Rain
I don't know if you can hear that. It's raining like hell, man.
Not here, mate.
Not
I
here, mate.
apologise
We've
if you
still-
can. I'll
I've
keep
still
the
got-
mic muted. We're going to
We've
wrap
still
up
got
anyway.
sunshine. We've still got sunshine outside, mate.
It's still got sunshine at night time. Lucky bugger. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gents, for joining us this week. That's been a fair few topics. If everybody or anybody is, let me know in the comments. Let me know on the Facebook group. Let me know in the comments of this video afterwards if you want. If anybody would like to start doing the koi appreciation again in the up and coming near future, I'm not talking about obviously next week. I'm talking about the up and coming near future. The weather's starting to warm up now. The fish is starting to get a little bit more. If people have got bits and bats, or footage of fish that they've got throughout the winter months and might have added to the pond and would like to share some new purchases, koi appreciation being his first one or anything like that, let me know in the comments. If we do, we shall start getting that one on. As we've got to make sure we give the James the Koi Whisperer a little bit of competition, as he's doing now a koi appreciation down with his new company that he's working alongside. I would like the guys from the GKP and the community to get back behind it, and we'll start doing the koi appreciation, because I love the fact that he nicked my little idea and he used my terminology. But we're going to bring it back, guys. We're going to get people back out there, getting the fish netted up, getting the fish in and displaying them live here for us to all judge and look and marvel
Did you
over.
not get copyright on it?
I should have put copyright on it. I should put a lot of copyright because there's a lot of people that take stuff that I say on here every week. I keep keeping them in content, don't I, week in, week out. Nothing else. It's about sharing. Sharing is caring. That's what it's about. Usual thing, guys. If you've been enjoying this kind of content, do us a huge favor. Like, share, tell a friend. Till next time, keep smiling, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for joining us, gents.
Big thumb up. I'm not doing
Big
cricket.
thumbs up and cricket
Bats. Cricket
Good night, all.
bats. Cricket bats.